All right, there will be bourbon with Bobby Burack. Find him on Twitter and Outkick. He's at Twitter at what? I got this. Burack Bobby underscore.
Yeah, yeah. Bobby Burack was taken a long time ago by some troll, and
Yeah, yeah, I
I
saw
haven't
you
been
been
able
there
to
for.
secure it.
Yeah,
So
you've been there a while. That's
I
good.
know,
So
I know.
the
It's all good though.
when it was actually Twitter,
Yeah, yeah,
which I
right. When
will
it was
remain,
actually,
it'll stay that way for me.
yeah.
All right. Well, our discussion, as always, for me at least, will be fueled by America's native spirit, and I decided to pick this up because I do enjoy the Maker's French Oat. This is their 46, which is typically uh, double their normal proof, but it is the cash strength version and it's absolutely delicious. All right. And also for Maker's Mark, I know people like to be like, oh, it's just Maker's Mark. They want to act all like, oh, they got to get something that
Right.
everyone gets crazy and nutty over and act more smart than they are. But look, good tasting bourbon is up to you, and that is delicious. And also the property, if you ever get a chance to visit and do the Bourbon Trail, Maker's Mark has a really awesome tour, really amazing property. It's very cool, very intimate. So that's what I will be doing. How are you, brother?
Good, no complaints. Everything's going pretty well. See, we're getting closer to football season. That's always good. We got a little
Oh
taste of
God.
it Thursday. I'm a Lions fan, so even
You
though it
are.
wasn't a real Lions team, it was the real uniforms and all that. So yeah, I got the itch back, and everything's good. Happy to be here. I've enjoyed following you on social media.
Yeah, that's funny. I don't know how you found me, but I do find that interesting. What's more interesting is you're a Lions fan and I'm a Bears fan. So I
Oh,
thank you for your coach, Ben Johnson, who is, I'm watching some highlights on the old Twitter right now of, I guess they're doing a scrimmage at Soldier Field. Looks fun. Looks like the Bears are actually scoring points against themselves. But yeah, I did not watch the Thursday night preseason game. How was that? How'd you feel? It had some interesting commentary on the social media.
yeah, yeah. I'd rather not remember what happened Thursday. See, the Lions fan, you're always a little bit cautious because even when you have an all-time great season like last year, it ended in the first playoff game because of a bunch of injuries. So, Lions fans, we never get too confident, but we never get too down either. So we're always just somewhat in the middle, right? Like you Bears fans, I see you guys panic when your team's bad. You're ready to jump off the bandwagon, sell the team.
Oh,
Us Lions fans, we're just like, meh, there's always next year because we never won anything, right? Like you guys know what winning is like. We don't.
well, the thing, I think it starts with Bears media.
Okay.
Okay, specifically, and I love the guy. I love watching him. I listen to him. I don't really listen to him live, but I always go back and catch their podcast with Waddle and Sylvie in Chicago because grew up obviously loving Tom Waddle, watching him play for the old Bears, and then Sylvie, like he's the fan, but he's like over the top. Like everything is doom and gloom instantly. And I think that spills out to Bears fans because look, I'll be the first one to say, look, I am tired of hearing about the 85 Bears. I was
Yeah.
alive when they won it. I'm a Bears fan because of that. Specifically, my dad was a Bears fan because of that team. But that's all we have to talk about. And it's really annoying. Like it's 40 years ago, guys. Let's move on.
How do you see the division going this year? I could there's no ranking of the four teams that honestly would surprise me as far as record goes. I mean, I think the Lions have the best
Yeah, I do.
roster, but I don't know. I think the Vikings with JJ McCarthy could be really good. Packers, and truth be told, I think the Bears have a lot of potential.
The Bears have the potential, but again, I'm a big person of when it comes to sports, especially, it doesn't matter until you do it. So,
Right.
potential doesn't matter, right? That's why I don't really believe in the Vikings. Like, as I like Michigan, I like JJ McCarthy watching him, but he hasn't played football. He hasn't played NFL football yet. So I can't give him any credit or the Vikings. And I will never believe in the Packers, regardless of who's the quarterback for them. I don't believe in Jordan Love. I think he's fun to watch. I think he makes big plays, but he's not. I don't think he's a winning quarterback. And I only say that because I watched him based on two losses in the playoffs. How he doesn't seem to care. He's more into congratulating the other team. And I think the Lions are the best team by far. And I love
Well,
their coach. I love Dan Campbell. I love the way he coaches. It's going to be interesting to see how they react with the loss of Ben Johnson, but the players are still the same.
yeah, but see, that's what worries me about the Lions is I don't know if Jared Goff's a winner. I mean, I've seen him crumble in a few playoff games
Yeah.
now, two for the Lions, a few for the Rams. That's why I almost wonder if the smart money is when it comes to which NFC North team is going to win the Super Bowl next, the Lions might be fourth because at least with the other guys, we don't really know how they're going to respond in big moments. I guess Love, we do maybe, but Caleb Williams and JJ McCarthy haven't shown us they can't do it yet. I think
Yeah.
potential is always more exciting than reality.
Caleb Williams is the first legitimate time where I can say, like, going into year two, I'm excited about the quarterback. I wasn't with Mitch after
Mhm.
year one. Because there was just too much that I was just like, I was still more, I guess, upset about the trade to get Mitch, and it carried over.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was average, his first year.
right.
Um, and then Justin Fields, like, I mean, I still remember that dude's first game against the Bengals and he got sacked 9 times. Like, there's never been a time in my life. Like, I go as far back to feeling like the first round quarterback I truly believed in was Rex Grossman, and that was weird. But he got him to the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
you know, and he clearly wasn't going to win that match. It was him against Peyton Manning. Like, come on, no one's going to take the Bears in that scenario. But yeah, the Bears have been quarterback just purgatory forever, or
They
hell,
have.
really. It depends which way you want to go down the religious route, but
Yeah, they have been. Does it bother you? And I know you're supposed to interview me, so I
it
promise
doesn't
this
matter.
is
Whatever.
my last question. Does it bother you that Caleb Williams is feminine and has pink nails? Like I'm not trying to be all macho or Neanderthal, but like when it comes to leading a football team, I think that stuff matters.
I think when he was at USC, it did. Like the
Mhm.
stuff sort of bothered me a lot more. When guys become a member of your team
Yeah.
or your organization, or if I take it into other realms or your company, your squad, whatever, if it's the military, when these guys become your own, you kind of embrace whatever it is that makes them tick and you figure it out. And kind of listening to the way he describes that, other people knowing him, getting more of like a more personal way of knowing the individual and just having experiences with dudes in sports, in the military with my perception and my background. I've seen dudes who do all types of weird shit. And at the end of the day, as long as you perform, it doesn't matter. If you don't perform, that's when it's going to become a problem. And, he had his rookie year. Everyone's adjusted. Now it's like, what can you actually do on the field now? And I saw him already do an interview with Waddle and Sylvie, and I think his fingernails were like blue or some shit. But um, I don't think anyone's gonna. It's like go back to Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
How would Dennis Rodman play today?
Yeah.
Like that
Right.
dude when he was like at the perfect time for when sports was really becoming super like in your face everywhere. Like the NBA. Remember the NBA Finals used to be on tape delay, right?
Yeah.
And then Dennis Rodman comes along and totally flips that whole thing on its back. But if Dennis Rodman was not on the Bulls and he couldn't play, it'd be a different story.
Yeah, I think that's a fair. I'd probably be the same way. As long as you perform, it doesn't really matter. But you're right. If Caleb Williams is not as good as expected, maybe that's when Bears fans are like, you know what? We should have saw it as a warning.
Oh, that's gonna happen.
Yeah,
It's
right.
already out there. It's already, and you're right though. He is the quarterback, and I
Yeah.
get that 100%. He's not like he's not a defensive end. He's not a cornerback. He's not a receiver. He's legitimately, whether you want to be it or not, he's the face of the franchise, and that does matter. You're right. And there's a guy I loved. Like he always used to talk about quarterbacks at the press conference with their hat on backwards. Colin Cowherd. And when I
Right.
first heard that, I was way younger. I was probably 15 years younger. And I'm like, oh come on, you're making a big deal
Yeah.
out of nothing. But now I'm like, that makes sense because you're representing more than just yourself. Like you are the face of a multi-billion dollar franchise. You don't get to show up with your hat on backwards.
Right. And I think that's what we've lost about the Deshaun Watson decline. He was a really, really good quarterback. And then
Mhm.
whatever, 25 women accused him of
Yeah.
sexual misconduct. He was suspended, went to the Browns, and he's just been awful. And people are like, well, did he decline? I think when you lose leadership skills and people don't respect you as much, it's a lot harder to be a quarterback. I just wonder how
Oh
many
yeah.
people in the Browns locker room respect him as a guy. And I think that can wane on someone if you don't have the respect of a locker room. So I think that stuff matters. It
Yeah.
sounds goofy and funny, and it is, right? I mean, I joke around about it with my friends, but I do think how you conduct yourself really does matter. I think a
Mhm.
lot of these quarterbacks now don't realize that.
I think you brought up a big point in that did Deshaun Watson all of a sudden forget how to be an athlete? No.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, that guy went to Cleveland after a year off, because of the suspension, but at the time, guy was arguably a top 3 or 4 quarterback in the whole league. I
100%.
mean, he was incredible at Clemson. He
Right.
instantly went right in, like, let's go back to that draft. What did Bears fans like myself? Who did we want? We all wanted Deshaun Watson because Patrick Mahomes was still on the periphery of those three quarterbacks, but everybody wanted Deshaun Watson, and they could have had him, and they still took Mitch Trubisky. But now, how does that end up? How would that story have played out if it was in Chicago? Like that's like I said, no one bears media.
Yeah.
And it's true. Like he's too young still to be this bad because Patrick Mahomes is still the best quarterback in the league. You know, Mitch is done, his time's up. But you would have thought there's no way Deshaun Watson couldn't have bounced back. But I think it comes down to what you said, though. He's broken from a perspective. Like, how do you respond to that guy?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I think in all walks of life, I think that stuff matters and people get offended because bring up gender roles and stuff. I do think when you're leading men, you have to have
Mhm.
respect. You have to have command. And a lot of guys just don't now. Mike Tomlin is a good example. I mean, Steelers fans are always mad. They keep going to playoffs, losing. But what he has is the men respect him. They listen
Yeah.
to him. And that really matters. I mean, especially as a boss, like you imagine having a boss that you just don't respect and you think he's beta. How can you take commands from him? You couldn't. And I think when we talk about talent and qualifications, that presence is something that isn't always measured in numbers, but it really matters.
I think that stuff does matter. And we're seeing it play out. You know, this is something I wanted to actually talk to you about was we're seeing it play out all throughout media, all throughout sports. And I'm interested in what your opinion is on this well, let me address what you just said. When it comes to leadership, it's not an all or nothing, but it's definitely something that you either have it or you don't. Like you
Mhm.
can learn skills, you can learn different types of interactions with people, but you either have an innate ability to command a room and give presence and have people gravitate towards you, or you don't. And a lot of the times, most people in American society are thrust into those positions because of promotion or whatever it is. They just find themselves in that role. And it's very, there are very few instances left of where true leaders can be on, I guess, front and center, like in the National Football League, like coaches, right?
Right.
Mike Tomlin, you described. There's no more type A dude than Mike Tomlin.
Right.
And all of his other stuff goes out the window. It doesn't matter what he believes politically, religious, any of that. It doesn't matter. The dude is a natural leader, and everyone can respond and see that. The
Yeah,
opposite is who? Who's down in Miami?
yeah, I was just gonna say Mike McDaniel. He's the first one that came to mind. So you and I are thinking
Yep.
exactly alike. Yeah, he's the first one. He looks like a nerd. I don't know, maybe he's a
Yeah.
nice guy, maybe he's smart,
Probably
but
is a great
I wouldn't
guy.
want- yeah, I wouldn't want to listen to him or
Mhm.
have him judge me. And that's why I push back on this idea that there's going to be a true successor to Donald Trump. There's a lot to get into with Trump, but he
Oh
is a
yeah.
leader. People do
Yeah.
respect him. He commands attention when he walks in a room. I don't know that JD Vance is that guy. Doesn't necessarily mean he can't be the next president. If I were to
Yeah.
bet right now, I think he will be the front runner in 2028. But I don't think he's going to have the impact of Donald Trump. I don't think Ron DeSantis had
No, no,
presence.
he already showed he doesn't.
Right. So, I mean, Trump, I think, is the ultimate leader. There's a lot of things I don't like about Trump. There's a lot of things I
Yeah.
like about Trump. But as far as leadership skills, he has it.
Yeah, and you bring up a really good point about Vance, and that still remains to be seen because
Yeah.
from a policy perspective, like just conveying the ideas, conveying the platform, I think there's not a better articulation of Donald Trump's policies than JD Vance. He does a great job at it. And I hate to keep bringing up the guy because he's not on the show, but another thing, I've listened to Colin Cowherd for 25 years. Like I've heard everything the man said from the time he was a local guy in Tampa when I was down in Central Florida. But he used to always talk about when it comes to sports and the parallel to politics is you're either a one or a two. He said Bill Clinton was a one, Al Gore was a two, right? He talked about these. He talked same
Great
thing
point.
with, you know, he talked about Obama and Biden. Obama was a one, Biden was a two. Well, you know, and then we ended up getting the two somehow magically in the 2020. But I think when it comes to the same type of thing, coaches, you're either a one or a two. Leadership guy in leadership positions, you're either a one or a two. And when I say you're a two, it doesn't mean like you can't be a leader. It just means you're not a one. And ones are obvious. They suck out the air in the room, right? You mentioned Trump. Like when Trump walks into the room, everyone's going to notice. Kamala Harris walks into a room, not a lot of people are going to really care until they find out who she is or what her position is. But she's not someone that's going to instantly turn heads and be like, oh shit, we got to pay attention to this person.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at, I mean, things that cover the most are sports,
Yeah.
politics, media. So let's just go to media. I'm curious your thoughts, but to me, Bill O'Reilly oozed confidence and leadership more than anybody I've ever seen on TV. And I think to this day, he's still the most successful cable news host ever. And I just don't know that people can replicate the personality and authority he had over topic. Remember, he'd wag his finger at you. I just think that's hard to replicate. And he's one that stands out to me again, who
Mhm.
was a clear number one.
Oh yeah. We'll do it live. First
Right.
guy ever, first cable news personality when cable news was really taking off, right? Started in mid 90s, probably after the really, I guess CNN kind of kickstarted that with their coverage in the first Gulf War. But then what, 96, I think MSNBC and Fox News both launched at the same time.
Right.
And then, yeah, I really remember the first time watching Fox News was when 9/11 happened.
Hmm.
Like my parents had the TV on that night and we all sat down and watched like hour after hour, every show after show. And Bill O'Reilly was the first guy I ever remembered, like, oh, you paid attention. Kind of like what you said. He commanded the screen, right? You're like, oh shit, we gotta listen to this dude. And he made sense. And he wrote a ton of books I remember reading, around that. 'Cause I was early 20s when that happened. So yeah, that is a good point. And I don't think there's anybody on cable news right now at all that remotely had the presence of Bill O'Reilly. I'm not a Hannity dude. Like I thought Tucker was great. He's not on there anymore. There's clearly nobody on the other networks that, from a male perspective, like I'm not going to get into females. Females are
Right.
on TV for different reasons, but I think the male voice on cable news is gone.
Yeah, and I think Tucker, who was wildly successful himself, I think it was different. Tucker, to me, he was somebody who had a different message than O'Reilly. Remember, O'Reilly's
Yeah,
message was the system's screwing you, but if you listen to me, I'm gonna protect you. I'm looking out for you. Tucker was more the system's screwing you, but you don't realize how bad it is, and I'm going to show you. So
yeah,
Tucker really
that's a good point.
tapped into emotion, and I think people rallied behind his message, where O'Reilly people rallied behind him. And that's really rare. I mean, you go down the list of people on TV, I'm not sure anybody commands that level of respect that he had. You could say maybe Joe Rogan does, but Joe Rogan's different too. He's more curious, right? The magic of Rogan is you sit down and talk to him, and he brings out a different side of you that anybody else can. He's not really a thought leader per se. O'Reilly was probably the last one that I can remember, or at least that's existing right now.
And you bring up someone like O'Reilly, like being the last of a breed, and I think my first real exposure to you was because, like I said, I listened to Chicago Sports
Yeah.
Talk. I catch up on it. And one of the dudes I love listening to and have forever is every Wednesday he's on in Waddle and Sylvia is Michael Wilbon. And you
Hmm.
did a thing with Michael Wilbon, what, back in March, going on with the
Yeah.
Stephen A. Smith and the LeBron feud. And I wanted to get your thoughts on this because I've come to listen to, like, we can't escape it. We get it. There's politics injected into everything at this point. But the one thing I've always loved and appreciated about Michael Wilbon, just watching him for 30 years, reading him for 30 years, I never knew where he was.
Hmm.
He was sports, and he was the reasons why sports happened, or why the teams are what they are, good or bad. The individual athlete. Um, Over the years in the past, because I think Trump broke everyone, good or bad, in
Right.
2016. Like he broke the entire system. Um, I could probably say that we probably won't agree on much politically, Mr. Wilbon and I,
Yeah.
but I respect the hell out of the dude for the way he covers sports, the way he relays it, the way he makes it personal, the way he makes it relatable. So I was just curious, your take on Michael Wilbon, and are we going to have guys like that anymore in sports journalism?
Yeah, and I appreciate you bringing up that interview, and I'll answer your question. Just want to give a background. I think you'll find this
Yeah.
interesting, as will your audience. I interviewed Will Bond probably 6 years ago. We didn't really stay in touch. It was just
Hmm.
this was before I really had a platform to give my political opinions, and
Yeah.
that was And during the Caitlin Clark stuff, when you had a bunch of people claiming that she's a product of white supremacy and the black lesbians are being targeted and victims of racism and et cetera, he made a few comments on television that I thought were intriguing. So I still had his number, and and I reached out to him, and he had known who I was. He said that he reads some of my stuff. He's not on the internet a lot, but he was aware of my work, and he said something along the lines of, and he'd be fine with me telling the story. He goes, I disagree with you a lot, but I find you, I think the word he said is curious and informative. And that led to probably an hour phone call of us just going back and forth on life and race
Mhm.
and politics and sports. And he came away saying something to the effect of, let's stay in touch because I think, like me, you're someone who's not afraid to have different opinions, but
Mhm.
moreover, you're willing to discuss anything and you're not trying to impress a certain crowd on social media. And that meant a lot to me, Eric, because
Yeah, I
that
like
is that's how I try to
like Michael
approach things.
Wilbon.
Yeah, yeah, and I think if anybody that would say that, it would mean
Yeah.
a lot to me. I don't know how familiar you are with what I write and say, but I
Mhm.
really don't think I'm all that much of a pander or tribal. I mostly say exactly what I think, and that upsets a lot of people on both
Yeah.
sides. Obviously, I am more. I wouldn't even actually say conservative. It's funny. I actually did a political quiz last week or a couple weeks ago to see, how I
Yeah.
identify. And it actually came with like a bunch of words that I thought were probably misleading, but it ultimately concluded that I'm more populist and
Yeah. I'm the
stuff
same.
like that. I'm
I'm
really not all that conservative. I think if you were to
yeah.
actually ask me certain beliefs, but nonetheless, my views align more with people on the right. But that
Yeah.
doesn't stop me from criticizing Republicans or conservatives or conservative media. But when it comes to Wilbon, he's probably the opposite of me. He's
Mhm.
not a hardcore Democrat or super lib, but I do think he leans left on most
Yeah.
issues, but he's honest.
Yeah.
He's not worried about what people on social media and Instagram say about him. So that's how he and I have developed what I would say is a respectful relationship. We don't hang out, at least we haven't yet, but we do communicate and I think have good back and forth. But to answer your question, is he the last of that breed? I would say absolutely because of that fact that everybody now is trying to impress one side or the other. They're basing their opinions on what's going to get them retweets,
Yeah.
likes, and
Mhm.
shares. And there are people that I enjoy listening to, like Pat McAfee. I think he's relatively insecure and worried about what people say about him. So, no, I think Will Bond, at least from what I've seen, is the last of a kind who just says what he thinks and
Yeah.
doesn't worry about what the crowd says.
Well, he's got the power to do it at this point.
Yeah,
Like maybe 20 years ago, who knows if he was coming up today? Like, because I think, well, that was probably 25 years ago when Pardon the Interruption started.
was.
Really
Yeah,
fed off all
yeah,
whatever media is today. Like they owe all of
yeah.
that to Kornheiser and Wilbon.
Right.
But yeah, like I just love listening to Michael Wilbon because of what you just said. And he reminds me of, an uncle of mine who passed, who was, grew up lifelong in New Jersey,
Mhm.
union guy, Democrat, but super smart, super inquisitive, super common sense. That's the thing. It wasn't partisan. Like, and that's, you said curious, and that is something that I've always liked because I can talk to anybody. It doesn't matter.
Good.
You're not going to change my mind on much
Yeah.
because I'm too old for that. Like I'm not a 20-year-old who's just highly impressionable. Like I've lived my life, I've had my experiences, and I believe what I believe, and I'm happy to talk the ideas with you. But yeah, and that's who he reminds me of. He just reminds me of a common sense dude who just happens to be probably a little left on things. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and some of that too, I'm sure is somewhat geographical and the
Oh yeah,
class. And right, grew up South Side Chicago,
yeah.
has lived in Washington, D.C., been very wealthy, been an elite for a long time. He is a black man. I think that matters politically, at least historically it has. So I don't know for a fact that he's left leaning. Like, I'll be honest. We've talked about political issues in a way that it doesn't really become clear where he stands on like Biden or Kamala Harris, more of the social issues. And
Yeah.
he's actually relatively centrist, believe it or not. Like I know, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but the whole like beta male movement, he despises that.
Oh, I could
Yeah,
totally see him.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like he has a
It's,
son, and he's talked about before.
yeah.
Like this idea of the way men are portrayed now. He hates that.
I
And that
agree with
if he would talk about that on the show, and I'm sure he would. If you asked him, he would happily give you his thoughts. He would certainly differ from the likes of like Ryan Clark or Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah, man. You just open up a lot of like let me just go back.
Yeah.
Let's talk David Dennis Jr.
Oh,
This Sydney Sweeney thing, like it's I'm
yeah,
actually glad you came on today and not
yeah,
last week when you like originally were supposed to,
yeah.
because we would have missed out on the whole Sydney Sweeney thing, right? And I just would love your take on, because it came out of nowhere. It was like
Yeah.
American Eagle jeans and Sydney Sweeney, and I just thought it was just some random thing. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, this is what's going to captivate the entire planet for a week. Like that's odd to me, but all right, here we are. So what was your take on this as the cat makes his first appearance?
It's funny. So believe it or not, I'm actually usually pretty late to stories. I just don't react quickly or
Yeah.
care. Like, I see somebody trending or whatever. But I got quite a few DMs from people within the media saying this proves your point. So I got pretty curious. So about a month ago, I put out a tweet. It was half joking, but it was actually a lot of fact-based analysis, and that the country has decided that attractive, hot white women are now the enemy. They're not as bad as straight white Christian men in the
Yeah.
minds of the left, right? Like you and I are at the very bottom of the hierarchy of victimhood. We're under the pyramid, but attractive white women are just a little bit above us. And I made the point that in sports media, there's not a lot of attractive blonde white women anymore. The narrative is that they make up all of sports TV. They don't. I mean, how many are there? There's not many. So I put that out, and people obviously, some loved it, some hated it, but a lot of people got a kick out of it. And this Sydney Sweeney thing underscores my premise there that the left does not like seeing a blue-eyed blonde woman with big boobs. Is the way it goes. And on a more serious note, though, I think just this comes down to people in society have been programmed to view everybody through this lens of victim and
Mhm.
oppressor,
Yep.
privileged, or whatever you want to say, victim. And they're under the impression that people who look like Sydney Sweeney have had it too good for too long, and they see her and they immediately react. I think obnoxiously and hatefully, some people. But it comes down to this, and this is probably another line that would upset a lot of people. Attractive blonde women have always been the best tool for marketing. Why are we afraid to say that? That it's not rooted in white supremacy. That's rooted in the marketplace response. That has been the group that most people find appealing and attractive. And the idea that we now have to de-emphasize them because it hurts feelings is so foolish to me.
Where do you think from, because I'm going to just assume you're a little younger than myself.
Yeah.
Um, where did you first notice that?
The
Just
attractive,
in,
the
well,
blonde.
just where did you first notice that the race aspect of what you described is starting to play out more and more?
Yeah, so
I know I tweeted out a very specific date earlier this week, but I was just curious, like
yeah.
your
Uh,
experience through school, whatever it was, just like how did you?
Yeah, so I know what tweet you're referring to, and I actually think it's backed up by a Gallup poll. There's a Gallup poll that came out that said race relations in 2028 were at a record high. Both white and black people didn't think much about race. In
2008.
2008, yeah.
2000, okay.
Yeah, and by what was it? 2016, it had reversed that
Interesting.
people thought a lot about race.
Hmm.
People were very contentious about race. In particular, black people had a disparaging view of their white counterparts. Well, what happened in between those 8 years? It was Barack Obama.
Hmm.
I think so. I think he he produced a message that told black people, hey, you are still being left behind. And in the meantime, a lot of wealthy white people developed self-hatred and
Oh
guilt.
yeah.
So
Oh
that's
yeah.
probably where it began. Now, on a personal level, I just turned 28. I got into media at 19, so I've been doing this for 9 years. And when I really noticed it was in 2020, when I think a lot of people who had racist views towards white people said, hell with censoring it. I'm just going to come out and say very nasty things about white people. I think
Mhm.
anti-white racism was normalized after George Floyd's death.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's an excellent point. Because that really was just kind of the that to me still is just a very odd time in this country.
Yeah, it really was. And just to give some background on me, so at the time I was covering sports media at a website called The Big League. I joined
Mhm.
Clay at Outkick that year, so I wasn't nearly as opinionated or political just by virtue of what my job responsibilities were. I was actually
Mhm.
reporting on sports media, breaking stories, talking to agents, and what got me is after George Floyd, I talked to an agent from a big three-letter agency, whether it's WME, CAA, or UTA, and they would say something along the lines of, you know, yeah, this client makes sense for this new job on ESPN, but he's a white guy and they can't elevate white guys right now. I thought, well, that's disgusting. And then I hear stuff like, well, Bomani Jones just had his show canceled, his contract's up, he's gone, right? And they say, no, well, no, 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 they're going to pay him just because he's a black guy and the optics of firing a black guy are bad right now. And I would hear this stuff every single day, and I just said, well, I'm going to put this out there. I mean, if this is going on, that if you're white, you can't get a job, and if you're black, you're going to get a job regardless of your qualifications. And this, again, this is ESPN and some
Yeah.
other networks. I mean, that really bothered me because that is so wrong, that is so racist, and most importantly, it runs contradictory to what the public is saying. The public's on here all day saying white people have all these advantages, and I'm hearing and seeing proof that that is not only inaccurate, but the opposite is true.
Yeah, how did as someone who literally grew up with ESPN,
Yeah,
I kind of like, and I tell this to my daughter,
yeah,
like I was the last generation to grow up without a cell phone and without the internet and
yeah.
with it all at the same time, right? So like I got to experience like that first Jordan dynasty and like how it played out on ESPN and watching SportsCenter every morning. I was a Barry Bonds fan as a kid, and when he signed with the Giants, like never getting to watch him and having to watch all of the highlights on ESPN on SportsCenter every morning before school, eating breakfast with my mom. Like I watched how that network just became what it did, and then I can't understand. I mean, I can. I just try
Yeah,
to like think it's not that obvious. Like you would like to think it's just not that obvious. Like
yeah,
because it's always like someone somewhere had to decide, and then it had to be in a room of some people agreeing to do this. But
yeah,
how does a network like ESPN, as I think you and other writers on Outkick point out, where probably the majority of its audience is white males, right?
yeah. It is. It's
Why are
majority.
they watching this shit still? Like this has
Well, they're
gone
not. Well, I
so
mean,
it's the only reason I watch ESPN is if they have a football game I want to watch. That's it.
yeah, yeah. And there's a lot there. I mean, to answer your question directly, how did this happen? I think one of the things that caused this is that, and I've been very open about this. In media companies, generally the executives are straight white males. It's usually
Yeah.
how it works.
Hmm.
At a place like ESPN, you have mostly black on your talent because you hire a lot of former football
Well,
players,
no.
basketball players, right? So
Mhm.
most of them are black. So you have this dynamic where you have black on-air talents and white executives. Well, that puts those executives in a really vulnerable position because if they say, hey, knock it off, don't say that, as has happened before, those talents will go to the New York Post and say, hey, my white boss is telling me as a black man, a black woman, not to talk about race. So I think in short, ESPN lost its locker room because of those racial dynamics. And then you have a lot of overcompensation where those white executives now won't even hire a white person. They only hire black people because that builds them in their minds some security. When they're about to be canceled, they can say, no, 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 look at out of my last 12 hires, 11 of them were black, only one was white. And that in their minds gives them a protective vest against cancel culture and the outrage mob, although it really doesn't, but that's how they believe. And so I think that is why ESPN has gone down this path where you have, I think, some of the most radical and idiotic people
Oh
anywhere
yeah,
in television. I mean,
100%.
Clark, David Dennis Jr., these guys are fools. I mean, they're clowns. I mean, if they hung out with a bunch of guys at a sports bar, they'd be taken to the back and beat up because of how pathetic they are. I mean, they're just awful. And yeah, I think ESPN, out of all the networks, has probably bought into these racial dynamics more so than any other company. And that's such a shame because yeah, we are from a different generation, but ESPN probably didn't get political until like the back end of my like childhood, teenage years. So I did grow up with it mostly being normal, but
I'm,
it's not now. And I have a lot of friends that work at ESPN on the talent
yeah,
side, and I
yeah.
mean they're just as disgusted as you and I.
I'm telling you, Trump broke everything in
Yeah,
2016. Like it just really
yeah,
broke everything. Like, because I really go back to that moment, and I mean, I remember where I was out in California at the time with doing
yeah,
army stuff, and I just remember sitting in that. I was actually in a casino, Thunder Valley Casino, Lincoln, California. What's up? And just watching once Wisconsin got announced, and just watching like this is the last time I've seen adult individuals
mhm,
cry that weren't at a funeral. You know,
yeah.
like I was literally watching adults in California cry that Trump was winning the election.
It,
And it just like it literally broke the whole system. It didn't just break, it
yeah,
broke like it really did. It broke sports. It broke and it's I feel like it's coming back. Like just there's some common sense coming back. And I honestly think whatever happened, whatever your view is on 2020, that was the best thing for Trump because Trump's here now as opposed to just having his 8 years. He'd be gone.
yeah,
We
yeah.
would be having someone else. But him here now is even it's brought some normalcy back, I think, and that's why I circle it all the way back to here we are. Could you have had a Sydney Sweeney ad with American Eagle in 2020?
No way. No.
You
Yeah,
couldn't.
yeah. I filled in for Will Kane's digital show last summer,
Oh,
and
nice.
one of my
Love Will
monologues.
Kane.
Yeah, yeah. Shout out to him, great guy. One of my monologues was, and it piggies back a little bit off of your question. People say, how did this happen? When did it change? And the answer is always Donald Trump. In the moment he won the 2016 election, it changed everything. And it made people nastier, more
Oh
tribal.
yeah,
I think it made
absolutely.
people more racist, but the other way, not the way we're told, it's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
other way.
yeah.
It's just fascinating, and I've asked myself this so many times: why did Donald Trump win the election? Like, how did this vulgar, bombastic outsider win? And I don't really know the answer. I mean, I could guess, I could theorize. I think some of it has to do with, I think Tucker Carlson had a line. Um, a healthy country doesn't vote for Donald Trump. A desperate country does, as like, hey, with this system, we've
Mhm.
had enough. We're revolting against the establishment. That's probably true. I also think it was probably a rejection of some of those media people and cultural elites that we have come to really despise. And because they were so anti-Donald Trump, we felt empowered to rally around him. What I've seen, I grew up in a really small town and still live in a relatively small area. A lot of people who had never had shown any interest in politics have Trump signs in their backyards. They wear red MAGA hats. So
Yep.
he definitely made politics interesting to normal people who otherwise didn't care who won the election. So yeah, I don't know the answer to why he won and why he was the one who just broke the brains of so many people in so many industries. But the fact of the matter is, that's the reality of it.
Did you know that Trump had a board game?
No.
Yeah, so I grew up, I remember, so this was my sixth grade spring break. And we went to North Carolina, and we just happened to go to North Carolina when the country had a massive snowstorm, like a worst snowstorm, and
Yeah.
the house that my parents had rented had all of these board games, and one of them was the Trump board game. It was all about becoming rich. And you
Yeah.
gotta remember, like this was 93. So Donald Trump was a huge personality. Like he
Of
was in
course.
Home Alone. Like
Yeah.
Donald Trump was in Home Alone too, like his like cameo, younger than I am today. That's what's wild. Donald Trump was always Donald Trump to me. Like he was
Right.
always huge for the United States. Like
Yeah.
he was the symbol, whether you like it or not, of American luxury and wealth. Like he was Donald fucking Trump. Like he's always been that guy. And I argue, and I want to hear your thoughts on this because I'm guessing 2016 would have been your first election if you did
Yeah,
or not. Or I don't know if you voted or not, but
I
either
did.
way, it would have been your first of age. I think because everyone knows, like Donald Trump was always a New York Democrat. It's
Right.
not like like he just was. And then like I remember watching him get popular on Twitter probably late '09, early 2010 when politics was really starting to kind of take a huge presence on Twitter again because of Obama.
Right.
Tea Party movement, all that stuff was taking place in 2010. And Trump, like I remember following him for the first time and just like, holy shit, he's just saying things that like he sounds like my dad. Like he's
Right.
literally saying common sense shit that like my dad would say. And I'd just be like, no, is that really? And
Yeah.
but I think what really just broke everything is he had the audacity to put a fucking capital R next to his name when he declared to run for president.
Yeah, that's interesting. And it goes back to what I was saying. People criticize me, always say, he's very conservative and traditional. No, I'm not. And that's probably what drew me to Donald Trump is that neither is he.
Mhm.
In a lot of ways, his views don't even align with what the Republican Party was.
No, he's his own party.
I mean, at least this is what he ran on, and some of this stuff I think he has not held up. But what drew me to him is the things that matter most to me: free speech,
Mm.
not bowing to the mob, being unapologetic, stopping war, controlling immigration. And I think just not having to always cater to various lobbyists who I think have completely destroyed the political structure. And that is probably why they hate Donald Trump so much. And the last one, immigration, I think that is what ultimately won him the election. I think in
Oh, for
hindsight,
sure.
look at it,
Yeah.
a lot of people quietly were fed up with the immigration system, and that's a message he ran on, and it resonated with a lot of people, including me. So I think that probably started it. But yeah, as far as like where he aligns politically, I mean, he is so much different than George Bush. And remember when he
Yeah.
originally declared to run, Jeb Bush was considered the GOP frontrunner. Can you imagine how much different the world would have been
Please
if
clap.
Bush had won? And he didn't last very long, but I mean,
No.
the Republican establishment wanted him, which is kind of sickening to me given how poorly his brother handled it. But yeah, you're right. He's not a Republican, and the parties have shifted completely. I mean, all of a
I
sudden, the
know. That's what's
Democrats
even
are,
funnier.
yeah, like because Donald Trump ran and won, the Democrats have responded
Yeah.
by being the party of censorship, the party of
Yeah.
racism, the
And
party.
Obama was actually, I thought, pretty tough on immigration. Like he was actually like, if you go back and look at the numbers, like he
Yeah,
actually was. Yeah, but it goes to what you said. Like these parties, everyone always used to argue, like, oh, the party shifted sides in
yeah,
the '60s. And it's like, well, okay, I guess they really did this time because if you
yeah,
listen to early Obama, you listen to his '04 speech, and listen to you just listen
yeah.
to Clinton. Like listen to Clinton in the '90s. Like who
Oh,
does that sound like? That
oh,
dude's
yeah,
like he's canceled on the right at this point for being too extreme. Like
yeah. Oh, 100%. And had I voted in previous, if I were old enough, I mean, I just look back and I mean, it's hard to say, what my situation would have been because it's all hypothetical, but
yeah,
there's no way I would have voted for George W. Bush. He stood for nothing I stood for. I didn't like Obama all that much. Thought he's a bit phony, and I think we're learning he's really phony. So I probably wouldn't have voted for him, but I certainly didn't like who was it? John McCain,
McCain.
Mitt
And
Romney.
yeah, I mean, I've said this. I
Yeah,
I specifically voted for Obama his first term
I don't blame
because
you.
I was there. I would never vote for John McCain. And I
Yeah,
went to the Iraq War. I lived it. I went. I like that's what turned me off to
yeah.
Bush. And I think yeah, I did vote for Bush though in his second term because I didn't like John Kerry. But there was no way I was going to vote for some guy who was sitting up there talking about bomb, 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 bomb Iran. Like
Yeah,
I am. And so many guys, and I'm not saying everyone
right,
voted for Obama or whatever. I'm just saying there's so many now of my generation who are
right.
so over the whole war shit. We're over that part of it, and like
Yeah,
that's the biggest thing to me is like all I want to do is like the next time we have to go do
yeah,
something, I want it to be on the home. I want to be a home team member. You know, I'm tired
yeah.
of going to other people's fucking countries and fighting
Oh,
their wars for them.
yeah, me too. And like I was very critical of Trump when he bombed Iran.
Yeah,
And you could argue in hindsight, So far, it's been fine. They haven't retaliated, but I don't know. People use the word isolationist, and I'm not big on terms, but the
I'm
people
all
that are,
for it.
yeah, I am too in a way. I mean, the people who are called isolationists align more with me than the people
Yep.
who want to bomb other countries on behalf of other countries. Like, I can tell you, look, I don't like Ukraine. It's a very complicated situation, but this whole Israel thing, it drives me absolutely mad. Why are conservatives so afraid to point out the obvious that Benjamin Netanyahu does not seem like a good guy? Well, why can't anybody say that? Why can't? And here's what, here's another thing on Epstein. Eric, if we find out that Epstein worked on behalf of American intelligence, everybody's going to talk about it. If we find out that he worked on behalf of Mossad, the people like Ben Shapiro are going to immediately denounce anybody who cites that as anti-Semite. Like, why are people on the right more protective of Israel than their own country?
Um, that's a great question. I would say when you invoke people like Ben Shapiro, it just unfortunately just puts me like I just don't take someone like Ben Shapiro seriously. And only because I say this because as someone like Ben Shapiro who smart guy, like yeah, he can
Yeah,
articulate all whatever. Um, has that guy ever decided to actually go stand up for his values and beliefs and go pick up a rifle and go back to his homeland and actually do it? Or is he just calling Americans to go do it for him?
right. And
I mean,
that's what
he's an
it's.
American. Like
Yeah,
I'm just curious. Like that's my big thing with
yeah,
anybody at this point. I'm like, okay, if that's how strongly you feel, you're a male, you're
right,
perfectly healthy, you're perfectly of military age.
right.
What is stopping you from picking up a right? In fact, I've even offered running into someone at a protest once, like I
Yeah,
will buy you a ticket right now. I'll buy you a one-way ticket to Ukraine right now. I will.
yeah,
Take me up on my like
right.
go do what you are so proudly advocating for, and then I can take you seriously. Someone like Ben Shapiro, I can't because he's not about that life. He's about talking about that life, and that's the problem with many people, not just Shapiro, but so many people in media. It's just like you want to take these pro-war stances at a time when you had all these years to go
Yeah.
actually live that life, and now because that time has seemingly passed you by a little bit, now you're way more outspoken. I don't take those people seriously. In terms of criticizing Israel, I don't know. There's probably a lot of things that go at the heart of that, as it's opposed to like when you're probably invoking some politicians, et cetera. And what is it? APAC? Is that fucking
Yeah.
yeah? I mean, there's probably a lot of reasons why some people won't say anything, but um, I'm a Christian. My like
Yeah.
my loyalty is to Jesus Christ, and that's about it.
Right.
So like, you're never gonna get me to have to worry about anything like that.
Yeah, and like I don't, to be honest, I don't hate Israel or love Israel. I don't have much an opinion on Israel. My
Yeah.
opinion is how people in America cover and protect Israel. I just I find it concerning because they're an American, and this isn't pro-Israel or anti-Israel. It's just, I think what these people are saying is sometimes anti-American because they're putting
Yeah.
Israel
Yep.
first, and that's what bothers me.
That's what I want people to have the same fervor for the United States of America that
All
they
I'm
do for
asking. Yeah,
everybody else's country.
right.
Like because
Yeah.
and this goes. Let me ask you this: Did
Yeah.
you? Because I know you're younger, but did you?
Yeah.
Was it? Did did you have the presidential fitness test in your school, elementary school, and all when you were growing up?
No, no.
No, okay. So that's the thing that just to me, I know it's not a huge thing, but it is something
Yeah.
that I think like Trump brought back this week. And I was just like, hell fucking yeah, I love that. Because
Yeah.
I remember winning that award in I think third grade when President Reagan was president. Like I thought it was cool as hell to have the Presidential Fitness Award.
Right.
And it was brought up literally by Lyndon Johnson and JFK because they thought America's youth was getting soft. And we are beyond the point of soft at this
Oh,
point. We don't teach
yeah.
physical education. We don't require anything. I listened to my dad's stories when he was in high school, growing up in the 60s, late 50s, early 60s. Like they did like gymnastics, like real gymnastics, not like, hey, go tumble on a mat. Like, no, they're on
Right.
fucking ring. Like they literally were in shape. And you
Yeah.
see, like I watched what my daughter went through in school. Like it is mind blowing to me how we've allowed our school system to just become what it is overall, period. Like I
Well,
don't understand like the removal of physical fitness.
yeah, when I was in school, you had a choice. You could either be in gym class, and they called it
Okay.
physical education,
Yeah.
art, or music.
Yep. Very similar in high
Yeah,
school.
I mean,
Yeah.
over half of my class chose art slash music, so they had no physical fitness. I don't know how much gym class really gets you in shape, but it's certainly better than doing
Better than
nothing.
nothing. That's the point.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And I just want to mention one more thing you brought up. And I've thought about this a lot. I would never call for a war that I would not be willing to fight for myself.
thank
And
you.
the barometer of that is very high. I wouldn't fight
Yeah.
for Ukraine. I wouldn't fight for Israel.
No, absolutely not.
I mean, I wouldn't have wanted to fight the Iraq War.
Mhm.
I wouldn't have wanted to go to Afghanistan. I wouldn't have wanted to go to Vietnam. Other people might disagree with me on some of that, but I mean, the last one that I would say we absolutely, had to do something, I guess, was World War II because Pearl Harbor got bombed, and you have to, I think, retaliate there. But to me, just personally, I would not want to fight in any of war since then, whether it's out for us or for another country. But by and large, I don't think I'd ever want to fight on behalf of another country. And that's sometimes my issue with NATO.
Mhm.
I understand there's the benefits of NATO, but like Elon's made the case. I mean, we are clearly helping all of our allies more than they're helping us. And
Yeah.
they say it's a defense tactic, and maybe it does keep peace, maybe. But I'd also argue threats of NATO was what caused Putin to invade Ukraine in the first place.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just so. And let me present it to you like this because I
Yeah,
get where you're coming from. You wouldn't want to go and respond and all this stuff. So I was that person.
yeah,
Like, despite having military history in my family, like I had no interest in joining the army, right? I used to hang up on recruiters when they'd call when I was in high school. I went to college to play baseball after high school. Like I was going to be a baseball player. That was it.
yeah,
And then 9/11 happened. And I've told this story a million times. It was my army story when I was recruiting. It's like, look, I woke up on 9/11 and then really on 9/12 and realized I just wasn't that good of a baseball player. Like I was
yeah,
never going to be anything more than what I was in college. And I felt like if you had to be in the country at that time as like I don't know, anybody really, but you were younger. So I'm just saying military age, like you felt like there was something in the air. Like you knew, like when you're a dude, you want to be a part of those things. Like you wanted
yeah,
to be a part of something. And then, I joined the army shortly after. And then like I never really thought we were going to do something until Colin Powell went to the UN. They sent Colin Powell, dude. Like you got to understand who was Colin Powell at the time in American military history, but just American like military lore. Like he was the fucking dude from Gulf Storm. Like he was Colin Powell was like if you were gonna make the case and send anybody, it was Colin fucking Powell. And so he goes to the UN and makes this case about nuclear weapons and the sites and all that stuff. And it was like, oh shit, we were all fucking fired. Like my whole unit, all that we're like, oh fuck, I can't wait to go do something. And then we all know what happened and how it played out. And so, yeah, I will say I can respect you not wanting to have any part of any of that stuff. And like, if I look back on hindsight, no, I wouldn't have fucking done any of that shit. Like, I
right.
hate, like,
Yeah.
there's a lot that decision led me to, but it's also like, I'm grateful I did it because I wouldn't be where I am without it. But no. And that's kind of where we are with so many guys of my generation. Like, dude, and so many are starting to find themselves into the administration and getting into positions of influence, which is what we need because we're over the fucking dumb wars. We're not doing that shit anymore. Like that's literally like some of our mantra for the past some years has been no more dumb wars. Like seriously,
Yeah.
like we're over that shit, man. You can't sell us on it anymore. You really can't sell us now. It's not 2001 anymore. You can't do that shit again.
Well, and how many wars, I mean, in the last 100 years or more, they haven't really benefited us all that
No,
much.
they
Really.
haven't at
And
all. And no,
that's,
no, they
yeah,
haven't. I'm sorry,
right.
they haven't.
Um, I mean, World War II, I guess, is complicated, but I don't know. People always get up in arms because Daryl Cooper has this, I think, unique view on World War II where he says, if we had let Hitler, would he have self-destructed like Stalin, and would we have saved all the people who died in World War II? I don't know the answer to that. I'm probably not 100% aligned with Daryl Cooper on that, but I think I don't think his idea or argument is rooted in hate at all. I think it's actually rooted in, he just looks at all the deaths and said, was this more
Yeah.
avoidable than we realized? And I think it's a fair question.
Well, I mean, let's go back 20 years prior. Let's go look at World War 30. World War, do you know how many fucking people died in
I
World War?
know.
Like,
Yeah.
not even just like, oh wow, they lost a
Yeah.
few. No, they lost 20% of their fucking men.
Right. and we consider that a success. It's not a success.
No, no.
Right.
I mean, I think it was is it 1917 or it's the other World War One movie where at the end he's turning in his uniform and it's getting turned right back into another like it's just like
Yeah.
that stuff. While it's dramatic,
Right.
dramat whatever that word is, dramatized on screen, like
Yeah.
that shit happened.
Oh yeah.
Millions upon millions of just young dudes who had no chance at anything. Guaranteed death sentence. You're dying.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right.
Just a matter of when.
Yeah, and look at the people. Like we're going back to school. I remember I had a history teacher who told me, and this is him giving an opinion, but this is like the first day of world history, that Winston Churchill is a hero. I don't know if he's a hero. If you're a teacher, why are you telling people he's a hero? That's an opinion. It's not a fact. I'm not dismissing people who say he was a hero, but to me, that's not a fact. And we're just supposed to blindly believe that. And a lot of people do. If you ask the average person on the street, was Churchill a good guy or a bad guy, a hero? They would say, oh, he was the person who helped the good guys win World War II. He actually wasn't. He really didn't do all that much to help the good guys, quote unquote, win World War II.
Well, I think it goes back to who writes the history books,
Yeah,
right? Because Churchill's a very adored figure in
right.
certain segments, especially in the UK.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, I went and watched that movie that was about him. It was probably what 10 years ago, whatever.
so
He's
did
a
I.
very yeah, very he's a very interesting guy. I'll give
Yeah,
it that. Um, I don't know. Like again, I think like it goes to what history is just history's cloudy.
yeah.
No,
Oh,
on all sides. Like and nobody ever wants to hear the side of the other person. Right. Like
no, yeah, no.
we don't. We only want to hear what our side is. And look, don't get me wrong. I go right back to what we talked about. Like you took a test. We're populist. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm a fucking super pro American
yeah.
nationalist. That's all I care about. But
Right.
I am at least curious. Is something else we talked about. I am curious enough to say that I get that there's somebody else's side and there's
Yeah,
somebody else's opinion on us.
of course. There is. And the problem is, like, you and I can have this conversation like we're
Yeah.
at a bar. We're just talking
Yeah,
and
exactly.
being
It's a
good.
virtual bar, man.
Right.
Welcome.
But most people can't have this conversation
No.
because they will automatically say, well, you're pro-Hitler. No, nobody's pro-Hitler. Nobody normal is pro-Hitler. Hitler was awful. Of
Yeah.
course, the world was better the moment he killed himself. Nobody's pro-Hitler. Nobody should be pro-Stalin or pro-Mao or pro-Kim Jong-un, pro-Putin, whatever. Like the Nazis, awful people. That's not the point. The point is just you're not allowed to have a conversation and
Yeah.
wonder, hey, can we actually learn something from World War II and previous wars versus what most people do, which is this, they're told what was good, what was bad without doing any research themselves. And that bothers me so much. The way people are taught about history and the fact that they don't question it, I just think it leads to a really dangerous place.
I just wonder more so though how history is being taught because like I'm using my own daughter as an
Yeah,
example, right? Fairly recent graduate of high school, not too long ago. Like when was this last Christmas? We watched The Alamo, the movie,
right.
with my parents. It was like, hey, let's throw this on.
Yeah,
Like, but had no idea. She had no idea what the Alamo was. Never heard of it. At any time throughout school, never learned about the Alamo. Had no idea who Sam Houston was. No idea. None.
yeah,
And she's thanking me afterwards for sure. I'm like, I'm really concerned. Like, what the hell are kids being taught? And she
oh,
went to high school in a fairly
yeah,
rural area of Illinois, like where it's like they're very, I would say, it's a very conservative town, very pro-American,
yeah,
very like very small town vibe. But I'm just curious. I'm sure they're not setting their curriculum. That's probably coming from somewhere else. But how do
yeah,
you not know what the like? I was literally, I thought she was messing with me at first. I'm like, how do you not know what the fucking Alamo is?
yeah.
Davy
Well,
Crockett, like the song. My parents and I even sung the song, Davy Crockett, King of the Wildfire. Like she just
yeah.
looking at us, like I'm like, no, this is a real song. I went on YouTube and played it for her, and like it's lost on generations now, man. Like we're
Oh,
losing American history.
oh, and I don't have a lot of regrets in life. Somebody recently asked me this. One of my regrets in life was going to college. I just the whole
That's fucking
education
hilarious.
system. Um, there's so much I have learned. Like, I've learned so much post college by reading and talking to people and
Yeah,
traveling than I
for
ever
sure,
learned
man,
in
for
college.
sure.
Like I go back to high school too. I'm sitting there learning calculus and pre-calculus, but I'm not learning about history or
Mm,
economics or
yeah.
all the stuff that matters. And it's just a complete waste of time. Now, I understand there is the social development part. I'm not saying drop out of high school or
Yeah.
go to private school, none of that. But for me personally, I gained nothing from going to college at all. Um, I don't think it helped me in the slightest for what I've done career wise. I don't think it's
Yeah.
helped me as far as developing my own worldviews. I mean, in fact, if it did anything, it taught me to despise the status quo because I had these professors who would likewise make these egregious statements and they state them as facts,
Yeah.
and I do my own research and be like, well, that's not a fact. I don't agree with that.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't know if anybody wants to, and I get emails from people, and I really appreciate this from college saying, hey, I want to do what you do, or what advice would you have for someone who wants to go into writing or podcasting? And I mean, my advice is always just learn about everything. The smarter you are, the more independent minded you are, the more successful you're going to be in spaces like this. And you can't learn that in a classroom, or at least I
Yeah,
don't think you
that's
can.
true. No, and you just to go back to college because like I said, I dropped out, joined the army, then I ended up going back to school, and I went, um,
Right.
and I won't blast his name, but I know him clear
Yeah.
as day. I still remember the black polo with our school logo he was wearing when he said
Yeah.
it, and then he was actually one of my favorite professors, despite this comment that he made, and we sat and argued for 20 minutes about it, but I had him for three classes because I went back and I switched my major when I went back to school and I did my undergrad was political science. I remember I think we were doing politics of the 20th century or political ideologies, one of those classes. But he said capitalism was responsible for 100 million deaths in the 20th century. And I was just like,
Yeah.
there's
Right.
that's that's bullshit.
Of course. Yeah.
Like that's not
Yeah.
so there I am sitting in this class as like a damn near 30-year-old with a
Yeah.
bunch of 18-year-olds who are like, yeah, man, capitalism suck, fucking Iraq sucked. And I'm just like, oh great, all these fucking teenagers who got the
Yeah.
whole world figured out with no responsibility. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But it's a bigger picture though, is like someone like him can say that. And without me being there, was probably going to go unchallenged. And these kids are going to
Right.
sit there and think that that's a true thing. That's a true statement, like you said. Like
Okay.
that's no one's questioning it. And then I am. I'm like, you're fucking wrong. You've got the wrong
Yeah.
word. It's actually
Yeah.
not capitalism. It's fucking communism.
Right.
But I don't know how you've arrived at this deduction that we're going to blame
Yeah.
100 million deaths of World War One and Two on capitalism.
Yeah, and I just think about it's hilarious, and I'm not surprised at all. But I remember going back to this is a college history course. A professor made the point. He was talking about the evil dictators, Stalin and Mussolini and
Mhm.
Hitler
Yeah.
and Mao, and he made a lot. He made a point. I remember him saying this. He's like, these guys are bad, but then Hitler is in his own category. Um,
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean, to me, evil is evil. All those people are the same to me. Like Stalin, vicious, vicious guy. Starving people in Ukraine, the gulags. I don't know how anybody could necessarily be worse than Stalin. And like, that's not saying Hitler was better than Stalin. I just think they're equal. But what that does is it tells an entire generation of Americans to not view Stalin the way they should. And maybe that's an endorsement of communism. But I just think that is also dangerous when you are ranking evil dictators. To me, they're all the same. I'm curious your thoughts, but I'm not into the degrees of evil.
What stuck out with me when you go through that list of people is I
Yeah.
always go back to like, hey, they managed to take power one way or the other.
Right.
And that's what I always go back to. And that's why I say like this is our opinion of these individuals, right? We
Yeah.
get I always what was the opinion of the actual citizen of those states, of those countries? Like
Yeah.
that's what I'd be curious of because I've been very fortunate. I've been able to travel around the world I've been able to be in so many different countries. I think 19 was my last count. I've gotten to talk to different people and get their perspective on not just us, but like there's another side. That's what I keep trying to say. There's another side to all of this stuff. And like these people,
Yeah.
they're going and what I will say is this. The rest of the world views Americans as Americans, period. we view our country as Republicans and Democrats right now. And that's a problem.
Of course. Yeah.
That's a problem because like like it never like we can go back and I can be very I can pick on everyone. I can go after all of the politicians I don't like, but at the end of the day, I never wanted my country to be unsuccessful, regardless of who's running it.
Same here.
Right. And that's the biggest thing is like I'm not just a populist or a pro-American or pro-national. I'm not just that when it's my preferred candidate in office. Like I am I have this big giant fucking American flag in my gym where I work out. All right. It doesn't there's no like Republican flag next to it. It's just American.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
Period. So when you bring up those names, I'll I'd be I'd be willing to bet a lot of those people would just be like, I'm just want my country to be the best it was.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not into ranking Hitler, Stalin, Mussolini, right? They're all,
Maybe I hate to say it, but maybe someone really thought Mussolini was a great fucking option. Who was the other guy? I don't know.
yeah,
I don't
right.
know how. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend I know how Mussolini got to power. I don't know that. I'm not. I don't know if it was a fucking democracy. I don't know that. I know
Yeah.
how Hitler got to power. Yeah,
I,
he took it.
right.
Okay,
Right.
probably the same with Stalin. But I'm
Yeah.
I'm kind of like you. I'm not gonna sit here and rank like, hey, well, his
Yeah.
dictator points was in his awareness was a little lower than the other guys, and the
Yeah.
other guy had a bit more speed. Like
Yeah.
we're not gonna have a combine of fucking.
Right. Well, yeah, and that's what gets me. Like I see it now on CNN, they'll make points. Well, Kim Jong-un, they'll compare him to Putin. It's like, no, I'm this
There's
isn't
nothing in
quarterback
common. Those
ranking,
are
right? This isn't Patrick Mahomes versus Josh Allen.
no. That
So
that's a Russian and that's a fucking North Korean, and that's a two
yeah.
totally different fucking planets.
Yeah.
And let me ask you this: like, as someone, again, I kind of enjoy the fact that you are this much younger than me because I am curious about this because I actually have really great hope for your generation. I think you guys are going to fucking save this country. Um, how? What is your take on a country like North Korea, who is so isolated,
Mhm.
but yet still such a threat if they want to be?
Yeah.
When they have no access, like this, like from the citizens' perspective, like they have no access to anything. What was it? A few months ago, they just built like this grand fucking adventure water park or some shit. Like they just opened. I don't know if you saw that, but it's just
Yeah.
like I remember like going down the rabbit hole probably 8 or 10 years ago. I'm just like, wow, there really are ways to like. You could go be a tourist in North Korea if you want, but you're just gonna get spied on at every possibility.
Yeah.
But it's just like these people have somehow managed to arguably compete
Um, I
without really being able to just have like a normal sense of, from an American's perspective, a normal life. It's really weird to me, North Korea. They really
yeah.
are.
Oh, I know. I mean, and it starts with China, right? Of
Yeah.
China, them wanting to have a country like that on their border, I think protects them mightily. So I
Mm.
think that's point number one. And this is
They're like
probably
Canada.
exactly, they're like Canada to them. And this is where and hopefully you can tell in my tone, I'm actually much more of a curious person than I am an opinionated person.
Yeah.
So when Trump bombed Iran, my first instinct was I didn't like it. That said, you do some more research, you listen to some more people, you talk to people, and one of the counterpoints was the United States, and I don't have all the dates memorized in my head, they had a similar opportunity to do that to North Korea in the early 90s. We didn't, and they developed nuclear capabilities, and now they have much more leverage than they would otherwise. So
Yeah.
that to me says, okay, Iran having nuclear capabilities would obviously be damaging and damning. And if bombing them like we did is the solution, I'm willing to have that conversation because I mean North Korea without nukes and without China, I don't think they're still treating their people that way.
Yeah. And my biggest thing with China is, and we just see this, and it's always timed. I
Yeah.
guess they every usually around an election, like, oh, China's gonna invade Taiwan tomorrow. Like that's the latest shit coming out, and that's I get it. That's a Chinese goal for sure. Um, but man, there's just so much part of me that's become, you mentioned it earlier, an isolationist is like, okay, if China decides to invade Taiwan, how does our life change? That's an honest question. And
Yeah.
I
And
don't
this,
know what our international legality in terms of defense of Taiwan is I'm not going to pretend that I know that.
I know.
I just want to say, like, okay. I
Yeah.
mean, I
Right.
equate this almost to like the Ukraine Russia thing. Like, I don't care what people think. Like,
Yeah.
Ukraine is Russian history, whether you like it or not. That
Yeah.
is, it is
By
no different
definition.
than if California decided to be its own fucking country. Okay, I mean, there's going to be a big portion of America who's not
Yeah.
going to like that very much.
Yeah. No,
And Taiwan is the same. Like,
no,
I think that's the other thing with the United States is we are still so young in
yeah.
terms of a country. Like, and there's just a very small percentage of this country who can literally tie their roots back to the founding because
Right.
most people are not quote unquote like founding American. We're just not. And so they can't really conceptualize what the world was like prior to them getting to the United
Right.
States of America, where they have all this freedom to just sit around and pontificate about how they would like things to be.
Um,
And there's like a whole world that's existed for literally thousands of years before us.
it's so true. And I'm with you because I think as a president, your job is to act in the best interests of America,
Hmm.
no matter what.
Yeah.
And that's why I voted for Trump 3 times, 2016, 2020, and obviously
Hmm.
2024. Some of the stuff he said and done, I just ask myself, how does that benefit America?
Yeah, that's fair.
Um, when it comes to Israel,
Mhm.
Ukraine, Iran, I don't know. And again, I'm willing to hear the other side to it.
Mhm.
I am. I'm not telling everybody they're wrong. I'm not up here pretending my geopolitical knowledge is better than people who study it. I'm not. I don't think
Mhm.
I'm completely in the dark, but I'm not an expert on it. But I want that question answered more. Like when it came to Iran, that was my first takeaway. Okay, does this benefit America or does it not? It seemed like most of the response was it doesn't matter. Well, it absolutely does matter. I mean, that's why I cannot stand when I turn on the television and I see pundits and politicians spending all this time focused on other countries. That's not what we voted for, at all. And nobody's really voting for that. Um, and that has made me, I, I would give Trump's second term so far a lower approval grade because of that.
Do you think, like, I get it. We
And I like
all,
Donald Trump. I do. I like him. I like what he stands for. And I would still give him a passing grade. I just have not liked the way he has handled anything internationally, aside from maybe the tariffs, which I think are still to be determined.
yeah, and I mean, again, we can go back to the bluster of like, oh, and the Ukraine and Russian war on day one. Like, I don't think anyone
Don't
seriously
believe
thought that
that.
was
Yeah.
like you can't.
Yeah.
Again, that goes back to my Ukraine, as Tucker, when he went and met with Putin,
Yeah.
laid out a damn near 800-year history of the country of Russia. All right. And I'm sorry, but I don't think there's anyone outside of people like you just said who study this, historians. I don't think we have a politician in our entire branch of government who could sit down and
Oh,
break out the United States history of just the 250 years, let
oh,
alone what. And you can get people can sit here and be listening like, oh, he's pro Putin. Like, no, I'm
yeah.
not. I'm just pro knowing what the fuck you come from. And I
Yeah.
guess what? He knows.
Right. Eric, on October 7th, what was it, 2023? I was flabbergasted by how many people proclaim to have some deep knowledge of what's going on over there when I've never heard them mention it
Ever.
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 Now look, obviously October 7th was awful. Like that is a fair statement to make,
Yeah.
but the people who started talking about the history of Israel, Palestine, Gaza, I'm thinking, first of all, I've never heard you mention any of those three words,
No.
and now it's
Now all
October
of a
7th,
sudden you're
you're an
like a fucking
expert.
scholar. Yeah, you're an
Yeah,
expert.
and
Put the
it
little
was
digital
everybody.
badge in your signature on your email, I guess,
Yeah,
because
left, right, people from athletes all of a sudden had an opinion. Like, whoa,
those
whoa,
are the
whoa.
worst. It's the worst.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I remember somebody asked me on 2 days later, this was October 9th, my opinion. I said, honestly, from what I've seen, October 7th was an atrocity, but that's all I know so far. And obviously, 2 years later, I've done a lot of reading on it. But I mean, just the way, whenever there's a story anywhere in the world, everybody in politics and sports and pop culture, all of a sudden they put on their expert caps. And I just think most of
Yeah,
them are
that's
clueless.
That's a great point. And I think that's a horrible place we've gotten to because
Yeah.
of and it is social media driven. It's the fact that we are we're like everything's instant. We
Yeah.
have to have instant gratification. Like regardless, like let's go all the way back to where we started. We talk about the quarterbacks, right?
Yeah.
Like Mitch Trubisky, Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes of that draft. Only one of them's left, but like instantly overnight, everyone's making like a proclamation of like, here's who this person's going to be, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
like that's and I kind of want to bring it somewhat back to sports a little bit because
Yeah.
like I think sports again. Here we go. I go back to Colin Cowherd.
Yeah.
He's pointed out like there's only two things that matter anymore on TV. It's sports and politics.
That's correct.
Right? That's all that you watch.
Yeah.
Like that's it. Like those are things that still unfold in real time that aren't scripted. We
Mhm.
hope at least, right? But
Yeah.
and I bring that up to say like we've gotten to this point in sports media where they just break down things that I think are irrelevant when it comes to the actual playing of the games. And I go back to ESPN with like everything's become some sort of race issue or everything's become some sort of political issue. And it's just all these people largely who have zero experience in the sport they're covering
Yeah.
or who are there doing this with athletes. But at the end of the day, like when an athlete steps on the field, I would argue 99, if not 100 times,
Yeah.
is never considering a political fucking angle or a racial angle. It's how am I going to win and do the best that I can for my boys that are out here with me right now? What am I going to do tonight to win? That's it. And then after that or during it, there's going to be all these fucking nerds on ESPN who are going to sit there and try and spin and interject angles of race or politics or whatever, or what did fucking Trump say? Like that
Right.
have no impact on any of that because at the end of the day, like that's what I love the most about sports
Yeah.
is it is real. You get to go out there and you define what's going to happen. There is nothing else that's going to influence it. No one's political opinion,
Right.
no one's fucking pregame show, none of it. It's what you do in the moment of that game.
Yeah, and this, I love that you brought this up, and this is something that was a real revelation to me personally a year ago. Remember in the playoffs last year, in the divisional round, it was Bills versus Ravens, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Josh Allen versus Lamar Jackson, the
Yep.
two quarterbacks that had the best individual seasons. And
Mhm.
the game started Sunday, and I was heavily rooting for Josh Allen to beat Lamar
Mhm.
Jackson. And
Same.
I thought halfway through, I'm thinking, I'm a Lions fan. I don't know Josh Allen. I don't know Lamar Jackson. Don't really know all that much about them.
Now I
Why?
want the Ravens to win.
Right. But like, well, no, no, that's not. So I thought, well, why am I rooting so hard for Josh Allen over Lamar Jackson? And the reason
Yeah.
is because the media has made me dislike Lamar Jackson and like Josh Allen because idiots like Ryan Clark and RG3
Yep.
and Dominique Foxworth continue to
Oh,
say week
Foxworth
in
is
and week
so
out
bad.
that Lamar Jackson is a victim of racism and Josh Allen said the N-word when he was 13, so he's a bad guy. They have made that such a racial issue, and I feel like it's not a racial issue, so I'm rooting for the guy that they are, to lack of a better term, picking on
Mhm.
constantly. And afterward, I thought, well, that was that shame on me because I have nothing against Lamar Jackson. He
Nope.
didn't make this a race issue. They
Nope.
did. And I was so happy the next morning, Jason Whitlock
Yeah, I
made the
love
exact
Wilbon.
same statement saying he found himself rooting against Lamar Jackson as a proxy to root against Ryan Clark, RG3,
Yeah.
and Dominique Foxworth. And that got me thinking if I did that, if Whitlock did that, probably a lot of America did that too.
Oh, for sure.
And it's shameful because that was such a great matchup, such a great game. And the fact that we are now choosing Lamar versus Josh Allen based on the media coverage is gross.
It is, and I think like Whitlock's arc into a lot of things over the past several years has been crazy. Because Whitlock is the one dude like he was it for me. He was my Wilbon. I guess like if there
Yeah,
was older
right,
dudes from like probably Wilbon's generation, like obviously
right.
a little older than me. Jason Whitlock was the dude. Like I remember reading that dude in Kansas City Star. Like Jason Whitlock was the dude for me. And my pinnacle was like him and Colin Cowherd on FS1. Like that was like my favorite show of all time. And then it was gone before it was,
Yeah.
and it was like him and then Marcellus Wiley, who I loved. I love Marcellus Wiley. And then it's like all the shit that I like never last. And I don't know if it's me or what, but it's like they
Yeah.
always bring in some weird shit like fucking Joy Behar. And it's like, oh my, I don't understand. And then Whitlock is gone. And, but I still love Whitlock. And now, but he's on some weird like obsession with fucking Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever and like in the WNBA. I can't do it. I can't. I'm sorry. Like here, I'm gonna spin this back to why I stopped watching basketball.
Yeah.
And this goes back 7, 8 years, probably 2017, 2018. Um, I already talked about on this show, like I grew up watching the Jordan fucking Bulls. Like that was my
Yeah.
dad's team. Like I loved Michael Jordan. I loved fucking which is kind of funny, right? But Steve Kerr. Like I love Steve Kerr.
Wow. Yeah.
Don't like him now so much. I mean,
Right.
it's not that I don't like. I just disagree with him. That was what I loved watching. And then, growing up in Central Florida, I became a Magic fan. We had Shaquille O'Neal, we had Penny Hardaway, like, and fast forward to Jameer Nelson, Dwight Howard, like, those were my teams. Like, that's what I like. And then, like, it got to a point where I started to really analyze sports and what it was, and I'm like, what is what is the one and this I don't know if you know this about me. You may I know you follow, I don't know how long you followed, but still a huge baseball fan. Like baseball is like the sport for me. Like it's the one sport that I think nothing matters other than your ability to play. It's the only
I,
sport in
yeah.
my opinion. Because other sports have barriers to entry. And I'm going to get to that. The barrier to entry to basketball is what?
I would say athleticism.
Nope, I would say it's height.
Okay.
Period.
Yeah.
It's height,
Yeah.
right? And that's another thing. Let's go back to
Yeah.
athleticism. People always love to say, like, oh, your best athletes play basketball. Do they? Because I will argue the taller you get, the less athletic you get.
Yeah.
There's no one who's going to sit here outside of Michael Jordan, outside of LeBron James, two absolute fucking freaks of athleticism, are going to say that someone who's 7 feet tall is some sort of freakish athlete and go pick up and dominate in any other sport. Can't happen.
Right.
What did Michael Jordan almost do if it wasn't for this strike in '94? He was a step away from making probably his triple A, well, guaranteed his triple A debut, but
Yeah.
guarantee he was going to get called up for the majors for the White Sox that year. Like that's how good of a fucking athlete Michael Jordan was. But he is one of one, period, one of one. And to this day, I got really tired of being told that what I'm watching wasn't real. And that was that I'm somehow being told that the best athletes in the world play NBA basketball. And then they're going to sit and shit on just everything that this fucking country does and is and was. And like it all started 2017, 2018. It culminated in 2020 with the George Floyd shit. And I just can't fucking do it with LeBron James. Like he has been the worst thing for that league, in my opinion, over the last 25 years. Horrible. 21, because he debuted in
Yeah.
'04, I think, right?
Right. That's a great
Um,
point.
yeah.
Uh,
So, and the only other sport that still captivates my attention is football because I'm a fucking glutton for punishment. I'm a Bears fan, as we talked about at the start.
yeah. Right. Well, Um, that's a great point of height.
I said a lot. I'm sorry.
No, no, you're good.
The bourbon's kicking. Let's go.
I think baseball, and this is the first season, believe it or not, that I've actually followed it closely.
Cool. Good for you,
Yeah,
man.
never had interest in it. But my interests have really changed a lot. I've really become to enjoy things that I can enjoy with community, with friends
Mhm.
and family. So I become much more into local sports. So like in this
Okay.
case, the Tigers had some momentum that was fun, and I started watching them this.
Yeah. Tigers are a great team, man.
Yeah,
Great
up
players,
until
too. Tariq
4 weeks
Scoble.
ago, they were had the best record in the league
Yeah.
for 2 months or 3 months.
Yeah.
Um, but you bring in this full circle because one of the things that I'm very thankful for is I have the freedom at Outkick to write about pretty much anything. So I can do
Yeah. That's
politics
cool.
and
Yeah.
sports, which is very rare. And I've always gone back and forth because people ask me which one do you enjoy more. So short story, um, early on, I obviously covered sports more and like sports more. But I would say when I joined Outkick in 2020, I enjoyed covering politics more because it mattered more. And I thought these issues are so much bigger than, which wide receiver should be in the slot and which one should be on the outside. And I had that mindset all through the election last year up until January. So this is now 5 years of liking covering politics more. But something hit me of, yeah, sports don't really matter, but that's what makes them so great, right? Is that they're fun. You need that distraction. And
Yeah.
I started to reverse it a little bit of I used to be embarrassed to say, "Oh, I'm upset the Lions lost," but now I embrace that because it's fun and
Yeah, yeah,
it
man.
there's nothing wrong with that, right?
Yeah.
But it's taken me a long time to get to that point. So I'm actually more of a sports fan today than I have been at any point in my life, which is usually not the case. Usually, though, you're a big sports fan in high school and college,
Mhm.
then you get out in the real
Yeah.
world and you
Falls
care
off.
less. But I've started to care more because I think we all need that distraction. We need that escape.
Yep.
And it brings us closer together. I've gotten to know so many people by sports fandom or sharing sports fandom. I've made a lot of good friends by going to games. So
Mhm.
I think it's just interesting that we look down on sports and sports fandom because it's so irrelevant in the bigger picture. But I think that's what's magical about it.
Yeah, and I would argue again, I don't think it's irrelevant at all. And I don't think I think so. Here's my thing with baseball.
Yeah,
Like baseball is a lot like college football. It's a regional sport,
it
right?
is.
You
It
have
is.
regional like rivalries, you have regional fandoms. Your fan base in one city is completely different from the other. The NFL is a bit more big picture.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's odd because there's a lot of Kansas City Chiefs fans. It's like, oh, really? Were you a Chiefs fan before Patrick Mahomes? Nope, I wasn't.
Well,
No, be honest about it.
yeah, I would say I had this discussion recently. Baseball is regional, basketball is national, and football is regional and national, thus it's the
All
most
on the
popular.
same. Yeah, yeah, and that's a good point. But I go back to baseball and football. I would say obviously the athletes are incredibly, but again, there are barriers. There's barriers to entry to position, right? Like you got to be big and you got to
Yep.
be fast and strong.
Yeah.
You don't need to be those things in basketball. You just got to be tall. And then the athleticism fills out. And then there's people who are freaks that fall in. And it plays out more than ever than in the WNBA. There's one barrier to the WNBA: be tall. Okay. And there's a freak, Caitlin Clark, right now. And why is she? Why? Because she actually looks and plays like a dude and she shoots from far away. But for the most part, you're female in the WNBA. Be tall. You can go probably play there. Your boss, I don't know if he's your boss, but your founder of Outkick has literally challenged Angel Reese to, and I would side with Clay Travis. I think he can probably beat her because she's just tall. I don't think she has any skill when it comes to the sport of basketball. Um, and I've already talked more about the WNBA than I said we were going to, so that's on me. I
All right.
apologize. But
Uh,
I go to baseball real quick, and I argue, and I think it may have been in back-to-back years, but either way, it did happen. It's the only sport where your ability to play is the only thing that matters. Your height, your size, none of it matters. How can I make that case? Well, Jose Altuve, 5'5", was an MVP. The very next year, Aaron Judge, who could probably play in the NBA or be a starting defensive lineman at 6'7" and 275 pounds, was the MVP. Those things do not happen in any other sport. There's no 5'5" man who's going to walk into the NBA or the NFL and become the MVP. It just doesn't happen. Baseball is the only sport, in my opinion, which is very humble, of course, where the only ability to play matters most over anything else. Is a total meritocracy based sport. It's the only one left. That's what I argue.
Great point. And what I've come to like, and again, I'm new to this, so if I'm wrong, feel
That's
free to.
cool. We're gonna get you, man.
Uh, what I've liked about baseball is that I, what are we? How many games in are we?
We're
80?
about 112,
Wow,
113,
over
113.
100.
Yeah,
Okay. I feel like the luck element is diminished a bit by the volume of games. What bugs me about
100%,
football season
100%.
is one bad call. It's like, well, all of a sudden, that's the difference between
Yeah.
the NFC North and a wild
I
card or
would, dude. The
round
Bears were
five.
4-2 last year. We thought it was the greatest thing ever. They won
Yeah.
one more game the rest of the
Right.
season.
Yeah, right. Where like with
Like, yes.
baseball, I've come to appreciate in general, yeah, you might have a bad call or a bad bounce or something happens, but I feel like your season isn't derailed as much by luck.
Yeah.
based on skill and
Yep.
wherewithal and good managing and bad managing. So I've really enjoyed it. And I love the chess pieces of when to pull out a starter and
Oh
which
yeah.
receiver to use. So
Yeah.
no, it's been a lot of fun. And this probably goes back to a generational thing. I grew up when baseball was just it had just gotten past the Jeter, A-Rod stuff where
Yeah. Good
it
year.
wasn't
Yeah.
cool. It wasn't cool. It's funny now because um
You were
I don't
coming
know.
up in the Giants dynasty.
Yeah, yeah. Right, with the guy with the big black beard. Who was his name?
Yeah. Brian Wilson.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
And then there's another guy with long hair who was skinny, weird
Tim
looking.
Lincecum.
Linscomb, yeah.
Yep.
So baseball just wasn't part of like the zeitgeist for me, right? Like when I
Yep.
hung out with my friends, or even when I was 21, we went to bars. Like baseball just wasn't a big thing.
Yep.
I regret that, but as you meet different people and you start traveling, what really made me interested in baseball was you go to Chicago or New York or St. Louis or Boston,
That's where you got to get it.
and the fans
That's where
just
you got to
love
get it.
it. I
Yep.
mean, they're
It's like
sitting there
fucking nuts, man.
beer
Every
after
game
beer,
is like that
right,
for him too.
holding on to every
Yep.
pitch. And I said, wait a minute, those guys are cool.
Oh
The
yeah.
people, the people that taught me what was cool, they're not cool
Oh
anymore.
yeah.
Those are real
Oh
normal
yeah.
people. And
Baseball, I will argue in Boston or Chicago,
yeah,
it's fucking an
oh
experience. Or night
yeah,
games in Philly, 'cause I'm so close to Philly now. You go to a night game in Philly for
yeah.
the Philly, dude, it's fucking like there's no other place you want to be.
One tonight with the Tigers, Sunday night football.
Oh, watch that shit for sure. Absolutely.
Absolutely. So no, I've come to appreciate baseball. I grew
And the
up.
playoffs are the greatest thing you'll ever be at.
Yeah,
I argue there's no
yeah,
deciding game in baseball playoffs. And
yeah.
I'm a Giants fan, so I got to be at Game 5 against the Dodgers in 2021 when Wilmer Flores was called out for swinging on a check swing, which he did not swing. Everyone gets sit there. We sat in Twitter for 30 minutes in the stands on Twitter. Everybody watching. He didn't fucking swing, but you can't review that. But a deciding game in baseball playoffs, there's nothing like that. I'm sorry. There's nothing like it. Maybe basketball when it was at its heyday, like a game 7 in basketball, I get it. Like deciding games are that. Like I argue, like I don't think playoff football really is on that level until it gets to like the championship and the Super Bowl. Other than
Well,
that, it's like, a division round, like, oh shit, we lost. But
yeah.
hey, it's a good building block for next year. Like, no one
Well,
says that in baseball. If you lose in baseball playoffs, it's like, our season sucked. This is
yeah.
over. Like, fuck this. I'm not watching the rest of the playoffs.
Well, football is different in the sense of it's like religion and tradition
Oh,
for
for
people.
sure.
Like
Yeah.
Sundays, you just watch football.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I would
Yeah. Yeah.
funny. Uh, Last year, I just had to travel a lot, and there'd just be times where I'd be at an airport or out and about Sunday for traveling, and I'd be walking around from place to place, and I'd see all these people out in the street. I'm like, why would they willingly not watch football on Sunday? Like to me, I grew up just like that's what you did. Like, it was just Sunday, you watch football, maybe family comes over, or you get with some friends, or you go to a game, you go to a bar, but football is a part of Sunday. To me, it's
Yep.
a challenge not to watch football. And I trust me, I've gotten to the point I was so mad where I want to just ignore it on Sundays, no more
Mm.
football. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I just happen to,
Especially now, the Lions are good, man. You gotta
yeah,
watch.
yeah,
That's
now,
what
but
sucks is when your team's good. You gotta really watch.
yeah, and you're also a bit more anxious right now. Like usually, I'm like,
Yeah.
well, it's a fun season. Now I'm like, they're gonna take a step back. Are they gonna be
Yeah.
Super Bowl contenders? But no, I think football is just in a different stratosphere as far as how Americans view
Yeah.
anything now. It's actually the last real form of monocultural entertainment I think left.
Yeah.
It's football, and that's about it. Music is so niche now. Movies
Oh
are so
yeah.
niche.
Yeah. Yeah.
Football's it. It's really the last thing I think that unites Americans.
Yeah. And it's the scarcity of games, right? Like I know we're
Yeah,
trying to increase the
right.
season, but it's still, even if they did, it would be 18, but it's still only 17. Like we talk about baseball.
Yeah, and it's
160 in one
yeah,
month, you play damn near twice as many games as the NFL season.
yeah, and I think most people would find it more exciting than other sports.
Yep.
I know you're a baseball guy, but baseball's you put
Yep.
a 12-year-old in front of TV to watch baseball. It's slow.
It's
Uh,
hard. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Football, it's just the tackling, the throws, the
Yeah.
hit.
No,
Cool.
that it's a nuanced based sport. Football is much.
Yeah,
It's a television. It's a made for TV sport. I would argue honestly. I would honestly argue that I've been and the last NFL game I went to, like you'll love this one. So it
Yeah.
was 2019. Um, it was a Thursday night game. I was on a whim in Chicago. I was just like, yeah, I'll fly into Chicago. I watched the Bears play the
Yeah.
Cowboys. It was Mitch Trubisky's arguably like outside of that Tampa Bay Bucks game where he threw six
Yeah.
touchdowns. It's probably his best game ever.
Right.
Blew the doors off of Dak Wilson and the Cowboys. It was like 38-20. Um, other than that, I can't remember the last NFL game. Actually I can. It was a Jay Cutler Monday night game when I was a drill sergeant at Fort Benning.
Yeah.
The Bears were playing the Falcons. I took my dad to it, and I said I would never go to a game again because all I heard was just like the most obnoxious, disgusting, vile commentary about us being Bears fans. And like, this is I'll take it. My dad's 60 some years old at this time. Like, he doesn't need to hear this shit, right? And the Bears,
Yeah.
I think they lost in overtime, but it was a good game.
Right.
But I'll never go to another NFL game again by choice. I just won't because it's a collection of the worst fucking people on the planet, and the game is actually made and better on TV.
Well, it
Baseball and basketball are
is.
the two best sports to watch in person.
Yeah.
You don't
So
need to be at a football game in person. I think it's fucking retarded. You should watch the game at home or in a bar. Like that's where you should consume football.
yeah, a buddy of mine, he's a Packer fan. We go to Lambeau Field every year, and I
Sever
love.
those ties, my friend.
Yeah, I know as a Lions fan, it's a bit awkward, but I love the trip of like the road trip, the sports bars before and after
Yeah.
the game. But the actual game is the least fun part of it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, exactly. It's about the
Right.
journey,
I
man.
love it. I love the environment. I love the restaurants, the
Yeah.
community of Green Bay. It's usually snowing. We go in December. But first of all, you can't, it's hard to see the first down marker. So you end up watching the big screen anyway, just to see if they got the first down. And depending on where you sit, there's never a great spot in a football stadium because
Yep.
they go up and down the
100%.
field.
Yeah. Exactly.
Even if you're midfield, it's hard to see what's going on in the red zone on the
Yeah.
opposite side. So yeah, there's no great seat. There is great spots where you might get a good shot of a
Yep.
certain play or drive, but you're always missing things. Yeah, I'm with you. Baseball is better in person than on TV. I think it's
100%.
relaxing, it's fun. You get a beer, a hot
Yep.
dog.
Get hammered.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wrigley Field is unbelievable. Wrigley
Oh
Field,
yeah,
great
Wrigley's
experience.
amazing. Wrigley's
Uh,
amazing. Have you been to Boston yet? Have you been to Fenway Park yet?
I've been to Fenway
I
Park
went
here.
once for the first time 2 years ago, and just the we walked into it like just the walk for like a
You're-
mile in is just
yeah,
bars through the neighborhood,
yeah,
and the neighborhood leads into the city,
right.
into the stadium. It's incredible. Oracle Park in San Francisco, like
Yeah.
those three, like the new Yankee Stadium is awful. Like they totally ruined that
I heard
experience.
Pittsburgh
Yeah,
is.
it's become a fucking mall. Like it
Yeah.
sucks. It's so sterile. It doesn't feel like Yankee Stadium. I was lucky to go to the old Yankee Stadium in 2000. I watched Eric Milton and Roger Clemens pitch. But yeah, no, by far the best stadiums to be in person: Oracle Park, Fenway, Wrigley, Baltimore here, the Orioles. Awesome experience. Like that place, Philly, obviously the Phillies. Like it's just an experience, and it's like you said, every game is like that, man. Like it's
Right.
not just like it's a
Yeah.
Tuesday weekday game. Let's take it. No, those fans are nuts for
Yeah.
all 81 home games. They're fucking nuts, man, and it's amazing.
I've heard UFC events are incredible. I haven't
Oh
been.
yeah, dude,
That
dude.
that's what I want to do. Go to a UFC fight. I have a lot of respect for Dana White. It's I think one of the
Yeah,
best
love
Canadian
Dana White.
men
Love
in
him.
America.
Absolutely love
So I
him.
want to go to a UFC fight. Um, I've been to a big boxing fight. There's another huge one in September. Canelo Crawford. I might go to that. It's in Las Vegas.
Nice, nice.
Boxing is cool, although it is hard to see because you're talking a small ring.
Same with UFC, man. But as
Yeah,
long as you can, if you can get the good seats, yes. Because I've been to two UFCs. I
yeah,
went to, and both I've been very fortunate each time. I went to a UFC fight night in Orlando when I came back from a deployment in 2015. My buddy, he had
yeah.
really, his friend had really good seats. We were probably 8 or 9 rows back. And then the last UFC I was at was the last Conor McGregor fight when he broke
Wow.
his foot against Dustin Poirier. Yeah. And we had amazing seats for that. But yeah, outside of that, unless you can get really good seats, it's not a good thing to go to, man. But it is fucking fun. It is.
Yeah, I think the atmosphere is what's intriguing to me.
Oh yeah, it's
UFC
fun.
fans are just more
Well,
fun.
and that was the other thing. Like, so was no Trump wasn't there, but like McGregor's entrance just set the fucking
Oh,
arena on fire, dude.
at least
Like,
on
I still
TV.
have that recorded. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, McGregor. So let me ask you that because
Yeah.
that's a good transition. I just want to know, like, do you take Conor McGregor seriously as a wannabe politician, or do you think he's just some dude who cares about Ireland, but is not really like? Because I
Um,
know a few Irish people with money. I've met them in the past, and they have a very low regard for Conor McGregor. They think him as like the lowest of society.
well, I don't take him seriously on anything because he seems a bit all over the place.
Yeah.
Um, but um, politics all across the world now are in such a unknown state that
That's true. That's a good
anybody with
point.
money or fame, I don't dismiss.
Yeah, that's a good
I
point.
remember in 2015 when Trump descended down the escalator.
Yeah, came it
I
down.
didn't take him seriously, and then
Yeah.
I took him really seriously and voted for him. So I don't dismiss it. I mean, from afar, I would just say Conor McGregor is I don't know what the right word is, a bit unstable, erratic. I'm not sure why he doesn't fight anymore. He had a fight scheduled for July and backed out, didn't say why. So I don't know how serious
I
he
don't think
is.
he's ever gonna fight again.
Yeah, I mean, neither. He's probably, I think just it's hard to get punched in the face when you have money, right? In
Yeah.
general, you don't want
Plus,
to punch in the face.
yeah, like I said, I talked about the fight I was last at. I mean, I was
Yeah.
he's 4 years older. Like,
Yeah. So
yeah, I mean,
I'll
come
just
on,
say
man.
that.
Fighting's a young man's game.
Yeah, I wouldn't dismiss it because he has fame. Like, let's look for 2028. And Patrick Bet David just brought this up. Who are some outside potential candidates for the US? I think one name is possibly Jamie Dimon. Not sure he'll run. I think, he's somebody that has the resources to make it happen. Mark Cuban, not sure he's popular enough, but again, has the fame, resources. Dwayne The Rock Johnson, probably a pipe dream, but charismatic. I think he could actually handle himself pretty well. So could something similar happen in Ireland?
I know his family too. I know some of his family. They're really good people.
Yeah.
Really good
Yeah.
people.
And Patrick Bet David, he swears that in Western civilization, the future of politics is not how much you know, but about how you present yourself, how famous you are, how rich you
It
are. So I
sounds
think,
very AI. Yep.
yeah. Oh, by the way, AI. What?
Oh, we'll get there as we
Yeah,
got
yeah,
if you have time. I know we've
yeah.
kept you a long time, but
Yeah, but so I would say this. I don't generally take Colin or Conor McGregor seriously, but because it's politics, I'm going to take him seriously.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's nobody greater name recognition for sure.
Yeah.
And the way that things have gone in Ireland, like Mike,
Oh,
like, eh, all
it's
right.
pathetic. It's pathetic. It's
Let me try and bring it. I'm trying to steer it back. Like, okay, here's a guy who I watched since the day he started on CBS Sports.
yeah,
Instantly loved him. Loved him as a player.
yeah.
I just thought he spoke very articulately and honestly, and I thought he was authentic. And then I watched him shift. He got to FS1 with Skip, and then he's where he's at now with or was with Stephen A. Smith, and he's got his own podcast thing. And now he just says whatever the fuck he wants to say. But what was your instant reaction to the news that ESPN was going to part ways with Shannon Sharpe?
Yeah, so I did some reporting on this. They considered him a real difference maker in the ratings, big star. Um,
I
had-
agree. Like
yeah,
whether you like him or not. I mean,
right.
the
Had the
dude's
average employee there been accused of rape and all that, they would have fired him day
yep.
one. So the fact
Yeah.
that it went from April to really August
Damn near
tells you
six
how,
months. Yeah.
yeah, they gave him every chance to prove his innocence, which can't always do. But I mean, here's what it comes down to: is Shannon Sharp. Uh, kind of an idiot, right? I don't know what
He's
other
an
better,
idiot. No, he's a
yeah, I don't
fucking
know a
idiot.
better way to say it.
No,
Um,
maybe you can't say it, Bobby, but he's a fucking idiot.
yeah, I can say whatever. But yeah, I just try to think of a more like educated way to put it. So
No,
here,
there isn't. There isn't.
yeah,
There's not.
he's
Here's what he likes to do. Like, oh, let me get that hand in that
yeah,
black and mild.
right,
No, dude, you
yeah,
fucking threw away nine figures.
exactly. This is
Nine figures, bro. This is for free. I'm sorry, bro. I'm not Venmoing you after this. Nine figures, because your dumbass wants to play fuck games on the internet with some Come on,
He's
man.
57 years old, making
Exactly.
six
Like,
and a half million dollars from ESPN to work 2 days a week. He is in line, according to the New York Times, to sign a $100 million
oh
podcast.
my, I
You,
don't
you
even
know
know where
what?
this money comes from for ESPN. Where
If
does it
I
come from?
if I were single in that situation, that close, I would shut off all female contact until I signed that $100 million deal. This guy ramped it up by
See,
uh,
that's that. You know what you have? You have this thing called common sense, my
yeah.
friend.
So when you're getting ready to sign $100 million deal and you hook up with Instagram models who are 40 set or OnlyFans models
21,
who are
21 years old.
21 years old, and I don't know if he raped her or not, but here's what I do know. He's uploading videos asking her
Yeah.
to publish the full 10-minute sex tape. Not a smart idea.
No,
There's a
not he's a fucking retard. That's
yeah,
what.
there's a video of him, audio recording of him threatening to choke her out during an argument. And not to mention, and I know this is a bit controversial, so hopefully it doesn't offend anybody listening.
I doubt it. Not on
Sharp,
this crew.
yeah, yeah. Shannon Sharpe put that sex tape out last August, right, on purpose. He did
Yeah.
not accidentally leak the sex
Nope.
tape. I don't believe it. And what happened the week prior? What always happens is somebody accused him of being gay, and then a week
Hmm.
later, you hear a
Yep.
woman moaning and calling
Yeah.
him Papa
Yeah.
on audio, and he says,
I
"Oh, it
think
was an
Whitlaw
accident."
covered that
Yeah,
part.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, just so idiotic. I mean, wow,
You
nine
would think
figures.
though, like,
Yeah.
I mean, he had already had a successful, literally Hall of Fame pro football career. He had to know and had to have had other interactions with females who may or may not be the best people for him to interact with. Like,
Yeah,
how are you making these mistakes 30 fucking years later?
yeah, I know, and I
He's
mean,
it's like you said, he's 57, man.
yeah,
And
I mean,
like you're at a Disney owned company, which maybe Disney's lost its luster with the shit that
yeah,
they do these days, but
a lot of money.
still, even yeah, even for them, like it's pretty bad if ESPN is like, yeah,
Oh,
we're
I
we're
know.
good.
Well, and look at it too. Almost every influential, powerful man who has been taken down, I'd say 95% is because they slept with the wrong woman.
Yeah,
It keeps
that's true.
happening.
It's a
People
fair
don't want
point.
yeah, people don't want to talk about it because it's like, well, you're judging these. I'm not judging anybody. I'm actually judging the men because look, I get it, right? Like, um, I know like people, you know, denounce these 20-year-old athletes because they get some woman pregnant. Look, I get it. It's hard when you're 20 years old, you're
Yeah,
drinking, and hot women are all over you. I get it. I'm not going to judge anybody, especially not going to pull the religious card like, oh, he should have been married. Things happen. But
yeah,
Shannon Sharp's 57 years old.
yeah,
And
exactly.
I'm sure he's been warned because this probably happened during his playing days too. So yeah, I have no sympathy for him because he put himself in this situation. And I'm usually the person who says, well, let's hold back. Just because a woman says you did something doesn't mean you did it. But I'm not calling Shannon Sharpe guilty of rape. I don't know what happened. I'm calling him guilty of being an
Being a
idiot.
fucking idiot. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, but you go to like his own words. I think I remember reading something about where he said, "I am way bigger now than I ever was."
Well, then that gives you even more cause to be
Yeah.
careful.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
that's the point, right? That's what I would like to say. And to like, look, if anyone, I don't know who's listening to this sometimes. Sometimes it says people from all over the world. It's
Right.
really weird when I look at the analytics, but it's just like I will say this. Um, don't be like Shannon Sharp.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
very simple.
Yeah.
It is very simple. Shannon Sharp had, and I think I tweeted this out earlier in the week. I tweeted a pic. There was a post with a picture of him juxtaposed to her, and my post was this played out exactly as you would think it would,
Yeah.
because and I'm sorry, but I think you need to realize and just step back, look at the picture. It's a
Okay.
57-year-old man and a
Yeah.
21-year-old woman,
Right.
and I literally said this played out exactly as you'd think it would. So remove my words. What
Yeah.
is your very if you have no other context, what would be your instant reaction to that photo in terms of the outcome? It's probably exactly what you think. And guess
Right.
what? That's what happened.
Yeah, and your level of success and status dictates how vulnerable you are in these situations. I mean, truthfully, I have people in my phone who are very, very successful public figures, and I have people in my phone who drive truck and
Yep.
do build homes and do private people. So if the people who are blue collar sent me a message saying, "Hey, look at this OnlyFans model I hooked up with." Probably give them a thumbs up, like, "Oh, cool, have fun." But if one of those big shots did, I'd say, "Well, that's going to end poorly."
Yeah,
Wait,
that's not
yeah,
a they Shannon Sharpe, like to watch his there's two people like I keep going back. I said it earlier with Whitlock, like to watch his like arc
yeah,
when when he left FS1, and I really like it. I love Whitlock. Like
yeah,
there's some things I don't agree with, but
yeah,
whatever. He's in charge of his own life. And then there's Shannon Sharpe, and it's the same thing. Like it's weird. It's like when these guys leave FS1, like weird
yeah.
shit happens, and it's just like Shannon Sharpe going to ESPN. Like I mean, even looking at like what Skip Bayless is, these two
Yeah.
guys. Like I'm just, and it
Yeah.
was weird because, like I said, it's 25, probably 17, 18 is when I really stopped with like the
Right.
sports, like I really stopped with the opinions of sports and just
Yeah.
I've already mentioned like I've listened to Colin Cowherd since he was a local
Mhm.
guy in Tampa. Like I'm loyal. I'm a loyal guy. I'll always listen to Colin. Like there's always shit I don't agree with what he says, but in terms of the rest of the sports world and the commentary and the opinions, man, I gave that shit up in like 2018. Like I can't do it anymore. Especially 2020 really cemented it. It was just like
Yeah.
you hop in from once and you just what this is not sports anymore, man.
No.
We've gone and you said it. I think you've written about Ryan Clark. Like
Oh,
how does anyone actually take that seriously? Like
no.
seriously, from someone
No.
like yourself who is way more plugged in than I am. Like there's
Yeah.
someone like Ryan Clark who sits on a literally the largest network in the world.
Yeah.
They're merging with the NFL network. We haven't even got to that yet. But
Yeah.
how is that something that is allowed to just go on and people don't seem to really question it?
Well, I mean, it goes back to what we discussed. When he criticized race shamed RG3 for
Yeah,
marrying a white woman,
white woman. Yeah.
his bosses are all white. What are they going to do? They can't fire him for that. Then all of a sudden they're the racist. So he gets away with it. But if the roles were reversed, if you're a white guy and you criticize the other race, or I'm trying to think of how this all works. If you're a
Yeah.
white guy criticizing another white guy
Black
for
woman.
marrying a
Yeah.
black
Marrying a
woman,
black woman. Yeah.
you're gone. Not only are you fired, you're probably never getting a job anywhere ever again. But
How
it's
do we
the
come
reality.
back from that?
No. And
We
Ryan,
don't at all. Like, is this it?
does Ryan Clark come back from this?
No, like how does the society come back from that? Like how do we get back to
Yeah.
some sort of normalcy? Because it's
Yeah.
like you said, we've skewed to
Right.
the wrong fucking extreme. Like
Yeah. I mean, I think it comes down to you have to hire people with balls, for lack of a better term. You have to hire somebody who is going to fire Ryan Clark because he should be fired and not worry about some dork online calling the boss a racist or some New York
love that.
Times journalist saying ESPN has a race problem. I mean, that's how it changes is you have to stand up for yourself and not let the mob dictate you. But most people just don't have the balls or the backbone or job security to do that. I know at my company, I mean, we're owned by a big corporation now, so I guess I shouldn't speak for them. But like when Clay owned it by himself, pretty sure if anybody did that, they would have been fired just because that's gross and unacceptable and unnecessary. And just like Clay always says, stupidity should be a fireable offense. Well, Ryan Clark has committed a lot of stupidity.
He has. And I would argue if he was just if he wasn't Ryan Clark, he probably would have been fired. But Ryan Clark, like, we can be honest, like he
Well,
has a legitimate NFL career and
yeah,
he earned his role, but from I find like it's really weird to me because Ryan Clark I think is a really interesting case study
yeah,
because he's not a big guy. I mean, he's me
right,
physically. Like he's me physically, right? Okay. Obviously, I'm a way better athlete than me. Like
correct, yeah.
he was a Pro Bowl safety, I think. But either way, he was a Super Bowl winning safety. Um, I just find it hard to believe. I really do find it hard to believe that someone like Ryan Clark existed in those spaces of the locker room with his views and never went challenged.
So, um, obviously I'm very careful about disclosing private conversations, but he had put publicly that he and I had a private conversation. It went well, so I will shed a little light on that because I think he'd be okay with it. He and I have spoken a couple times the past year
Okay.
about my criticism of him and some of the things he has said. And one of the points I made to him after this conversation about RG3 marrying a white woman, I said, Ryan, you played in the league for a decade. You know as well as anybody, there's two things you don't do in a locker room or amongst guys. You don't talk
Hmm.
about your guy's money, you don't talk about his woman. I
Yep.
go, you know, if you were in a locker room and said or shamed somebody for marrying a white woman, it's going to be a problem.
Yep.
And not only is it going to be a problem between you and that person, you're not going to have any support from your teammates. And I think that is why I found that comment so egregious because he should know better.
He should.
NFL player.
Yep.
And I had uh, a commentator from ESPN I put in the story reached out to me and say the exact same thing. They go, like, it's one thing for some reporter to raise shame, it shouldn't happen, but maybe they
Hmm.
don't get it. But for somebody who has spent as much time in a male locker room,
And a great player. Like, let's be
yeah,
honest. Like Ryan
like
Clark was a great player.
right, he just has to know better, and he has to know there are certain lines you don't cross. I mean, just getting to know you, I would assume if you're amongst your buddies, there are certain lines you don't cross, and that's probably
Absolutely.
one of them too, right?
Yeah, every time.
Yeah, right. So I have no sympathy for him, and he somewhat apologized and he backtracked, whatever. I don't all have much respect for Ryan Clark anymore because I think what he is doing on television is
Not
indefensible.
real.
It
Yeah,
really
it's not.
is.
I think he's playing it. I think he's playing an
Yeah.
act,
It,
and that's
it, it,
unfortunate.
yeah,
That's
and
unfortunate.
he and I have had respectful, productive conversations. The guy I talk to off the record, I actually like. The guy I see on TV, I just find obnoxious and honestly racist.
Yeah, and you're 100% right. I think he is a racist.
Yeah,
And that's my issue with whatever ESPN is deciding the platform. It's like, and it's not just ESPN, it's all the network. It's
it's all
any,
of them. Yeah,
it's, there's like, and I know we've already said it. Like, we go back, it was 2016. I think Trump really broke the whole fucking system. But it's
yeah,
just like,
yeah.
we have to get back to a point where meritocracy is all that matters. I don't give a shit about, like, this isn't a secret. My daughter's half black, right? Like, I have my daughter is from a black female. Like, we had, like, this is not from a race perspective at
Right.
all. But even she will tell you, like, as someone who, when I met her, was a very huge, like, pro-left individual who is
Yeah,
now way more fucking right-wing, like,
yeah.
Trump supporter than me, which I find funny and always, I think, couples with life experience,
Right.
is that we need to get back into media, sports, whatever, meritocracy only. The
Of
best
course.
of the best end up in those spaces. I don't give a shit what your fucking
No.
race is. I don't care what your fucking background is. I don't care what language you speak. I don't give a
Right.
shit who you pray to. I would prefer it to be Jesus Christ. But I also don't give a shit what fucking political party you vote for
Yeah.
every 2 years. The only thing that matters is you speaking and promulgating the fucking truth of whatever it is you're talking about. That's it.
Oh,
And be the
yeah.
best at it. And if some dude who happens to be the most gay, left wing, he wears a fucking whatever, then great, because he's fucking interesting and he makes the most sense. But
Totally.
if he's only there because of those things, there's a problem.
Yeah, when I interviewed Wilbon, I saw there was one particular guy from the Washington Post saying, "Well, I can't believe Bobby would talk to a black guy." I'm thinking, why? And I asked him, I said,
What
"Why
is
would you say
that?
that? Why would you say that?" Um, what's
That's
the guy's
funny.
name? Mike.
Oh, I gotta go look this
I
guy
think his
up.
name's Mike Weiss. And
Mike
I went,
Wise. Let me write.
um, see if you can find him. Real goofy looking guy.
I'm writing this down right now.
Yeah, but I
Wise.
don't know. I mean, it's all.
Washington Post.
I think he actually deleted
Wapo.
he deleted some of the tweets, but some of them are still up there. He actually randomly threatened to kill me too, which was interesting. But no, that's
It's always the left who threatens to kill
yeah,
people.
yeah. I
It's
mean, it's
really
public. Yeah,
weird.
like this isn't
It's
me.
really
Like,
weird.
yeah, like I'm not exaggerating. He literally said he wanted to find me and beat me with a hose and burn me alive.
Oh,
So
well, that's
yeah,
effective.
but all good. But the point is, and I need to. I don't know. I just why? Well, I mean, I've talked to a lot of black people. I've talked to a lot of white people. Why would you think that? But that's what people think because I push back on certain racial
Yeah.
narrative stuff. So people think that I must be a racist. Well, I mean, I usually pretty calm in those situations. I would just say, you probably see me on Twitter. Do you have
Yep.
any proof of me being a racist? Do you have any proof of me being all the things you guys claim I am? I'm pretty confident that I can defend almost everything I've said. Not to say I'm always right. I haven't been. I've been wrong about a lot of things. But as far as like my character, this idea that just like you, I mean, I see people call you racist. I didn't even know that
Oh yeah.
you had a daughter that was half black. I don't, doesn't change my opinion of you at all, or doesn't change anything other than the fact that it just makes the people calling you racist all that dumber.
It's pretty funny. Yeah. I've always enjoyed it because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, like I know something you don't know.
Yeah.
And so,
Right.
all right.
Yeah. And it's one of those things too, particularly on race. I actually think you and I are in the majority on these issues. I really
Oh,
do.
for sure, dude. For sure.
Do. I
For
think
sure.
people like Ryan Clark, David Dennis Jr., Joy Behar, Joy Reid, Jamel Hill, they're in the minority. Most Americans don't sit around and think about race. They don't. I've actually never discussed race with somebody who is not involved in media.
Nope.
Honest to
Oh,
God,
I would
never.
I would say like I've lived and I live in a very mixed neighborhood right now and like none of that's ever come up. Like
Never.
even even po
Yeah.
even politics has never come up. We just talk about like how we're gonna look out for each other.
Oh, I know. This whole social media,
It's like
this,
it's not important. Like, hey, are you a good neighbor? Yeah, I am. Are
right?
you a good neighbor? Yes, you are. Okay, cool. Let me know
Yeah.
how if you need anything, let me know. Like
Yeah. That's what bothers me about the right sometimes, which again, I do align more with.
Yep.
They spend so much time on topics like transgenderism, and I have strong thoughts on that. I've written about it. I think
Yep.
it's very consequential. I don't think it's healthy. I don't think God meant for us to be trans. I don't think kids should be severing body parts.
Nope.
But I also don't know how big of an issue it is, like nationally. I don't know if people really care. Like again, I don't know. I talk to a lot of people. I go to a lot of places. Nobody's ever at a bar brought up transgenderism or the sexual indoctrination of kids. Like again,
But that's why the less losing, man.
yeah,
Like that's why they. I mean, like we're
yeah,
literally seeing podcasts with this right now with people trying to reach out to Newsom, who's the obvious front runner, and it's just like, but
yeah.
people are reaching out and they're talking about this stuff like we need to rebrand the Democrat Party, and it's like, yeah, you do because you've made issues that people don't care about your
Yeah.
platform.
Oh,
Like that's what's so weird. Like
yeah.
the destruction of the but still, at the end of the day, um. it comes down to like three fucking counties in this country when it comes to an election, man. Like,
Oh,
look, like
I know.
somehow someone voted Kamala Harris 75 million times because
Yeah,
there's like three counties in the North Central that really make up who's going to win this election.
yeah.
That's
No,
what's weird to me.
it's so true.
But like, who would ever want
I know.
if you had a company election and Kamala Harris was one of your candidates? Like, who the fuck would actually vote for
Oh,
that?
I know.
Like, come on, man. Stop it. Just stop it. There's no
Yeah.
way you would but like let's pull back. Let's further extract like okay, you won't do that for your company, but
Right.
you're willing to put this person in charge of the fucking
Well,
country? Give me no. I would love for someone to sit with a straight face, have an honest discussion with me and try to sell me on why they would vote for Kamala Harris as the president of the United States of America.
when is the last time the Democratic primary voters have selected their own candidate? Because Kamala
I
isn't.
think it was 2016, right? Because as far as I know, in 2020, Joe Biden never placed above fourth, and he
Right.
somehow ended up with the nomination.
But I feel like even in 2016, that if all things were equal, Bernie may have beaten Hillary. They had
Oh
also,
yeah, you're right. That's a good
yeah.
point.
So
Hillary
I'm
was she was the adorned, like she
right,
had to
right.
be the next president.
So it wasn't the last three.
Because Obama stole it from her in 2008.
Yeah, so that's probably the last time the
You're
Democrats have
right,
picked their
man.
candidate. I think,
2004 when it was Kerry.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's been a long time, which is a
that's
real problem.
wild. That's a good
And that
point.
goes to your point. I don't think Democrats really wanted Kamala or Biden or Hillary, but they
No,
didn't have a
but they
choice.
have to vote for these people. Like
Yeah.
they're told, but that comes back to like our issue. And like I'm a huge like I'm very anti two-party system in this country. I'll be honest with you, man.
Come on.
Yeah, like one of the coolest things I learned about doing my undergrad was just like the politics of the European Union. Like you got parties that rise and fall every election cycle, and they sometimes they just change their name and they all of a sudden are favorites. But
Right.
um Yeah, there's no way you can sit and tell me that in a nation of 350 million people, you got to be on one side or the other. Like, get on that side of the room, you
Yeah.
get on that side of the room, and let's figure this shit. Like, no, there's a lot of intricacies and
Yeah.
there's a lot of shit that we can figure out and make more parties of. But it's probably something that will happen. It'd probably be well after our lifetimes.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think either one of us will be alive when it happens. But even looking ahead to 28, I can't imagine any scenario I vote Democrat unless the party completely
No, not at this point.
yeah, I
No,
mean, they would have to completely shut off, restart, plug back in, and find all new people. But even on the Republican side, I do like JD Vance. I think I
I
would,
do because he's
I
smart.
would, yeah, I would get behind him. But I mean, the other ones that could potentially run, I don't know. I don't think I'd want Vivek Ramaswamy.
Oh, he's a fucking snake. I
Yeah,
hate that man. I hate
um,
that man with every inch of.
yeah.
I despise Vivek Ramaswamy.
I mean,
Anyone
Rubio.
out there who gets on this podcast or gets in the comments, they already know. And most of the people that I run with, we already know. That dude's a fucking snake. He was a
Yeah,
plant in 2024. No, fuck him.
yeah. I
I'm
mean,
sorry. Like,
no, you're
I'll be
good.
vulgar. You be respectful. I'll be vulgar.
Rubio. I mean, to me, again, you go back to that
Always
one.
loved Rubio. I don't think
I
he's
don't
gonna.
think he's
I
a
think
one.
he's realized where he's found his role.
But he's
Like
a better,
he's
but I think
carved
he'd
out.
be a better vice president than president. I don't think he's a one. He would go back to our earlier
Yes. Yeah.
conversation. I don't think he is
I agree.
the guy I
He's a
want as a
two.
president.
He's a two.
Um,
I mean, he's a fantastic two.
yeah, right.
Great two.
Tulsi Gabbard, I like, but I don't think she's a realistic candidate.
I don't either. No,
Because she's
she
not
needs to. She's
pro-life,
right where she needs to be.
right? And I think as a Republican, if you're not pro-life, it's hard right now to
Yeah.
advance. DeSantis, we saw what happened.
No, I think Ron DeSantis needs to just be a
Yeah,
governor, and I know he's at the end of
yeah,
his time. Maybe he finds a political appointment, but
yeah,
he's busy down there in Florida with his wife trying to run, and I think that's silly, but
yeah.
it's just
I
it's a
think
proxy term for him.
right. So you look at Vance, I think is the clear front runner, and I think Democrats are probably going to pick their own person.
It's Newsom, dude. And here's my favorite thing about Governor Newsom. Let me give you a thing about Newsom because I lived for 7 years in California before I moved out here to Virginia 3 years ago. Um, I had a really good interaction with Governor Newsom his first 2 months during COVID. I thought he was very honest. He came across very like genuine. Um, and I was living in Napa at the time. And then that motherfucker showed up in Yountville, 10 minutes up north at the French Laundry.
Yeah,
Like, and I remember thinking, like, this motherfucker, this dude makes me put on a fucking mask to go into the grocery store
yeah,
and sit in a line because there's too many people inside. And you're
right.
going to get on fucking, like, and you're not even hiding it. You're going to allow, like, there's literally photos of you at the French fucking Laundry, a $450 a plate fucking, like, you're 10 minutes up north from me, bro.
Yeah,
Give me a break, dude. And so when I come back to the presidential thing, like what I wanted to say was, I have a lot of friends in this state in DC or in Virginia, and I spend a lot of time in DC. A lot of friends, and the East Coast Democrat is very different than the West Coast Democrat, right? They're very different people. And I will say everything that I've heard. Now, again, it comes back to what even before this is like, well, at the end of the day, when it's R versus D, that's what people vote. It doesn't really matter, but he's got to
right.
win the nomination. And so, him winning the nomination, I think he's challenged because I've had someone very specific, a gay white man, say to me, he doesn't play on this side of the country. Why?
Right.
Listen to him talk. Listen to the way he speaks. Look at
Course.
what he does with his hands. That is a gay white Democrat telling me like he can't stand Governor Newsom because of all of the things I just said. The way he talks, the way his hands motions are, the way his body language is. They think of him as a fucking snake. And
Yeah,
that's telling because
it is.
you gotta win the nomination, man. You don't just get anointed.
Well, and you look at who else could run against him. I think Wes Moore seems to have some momentum. Not a big name though, so I don't know how.
Having a bad year, man. That
Yeah,
fucking bridge still hasn't popped up.
right. Governor Josh Shapiro could have some support.
That's what's weird. They got nobody, man. They
Yeah.
got nobody. Like, I mean,
My
somebody's got to get
governor.
the nomination. Like, don't get me,
Yep.
but and it comes back to like I just said, it comes down to three counties at the end of the day when we run this full scale nominate. Like, but
Yeah.
it's a weak party, man.
Could AOC?
No.
I don't think so, but I do think she was. I do think she is going to,
Here's why.
like Bernie, though. She's going to have more support than I think you or I can understand. I think she'll
Who's
find
Trump won against? Who's Trump won against?
two women.
At some point, guys, stop doing the same thing that fucking
Yeah.
keeps losing. Okay?